T-130 rolling down the strip.
Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us on another edition of DAX Machina. Joining me in the studio tonight is Robbie Rip Rains and Carrie Pocket Doc Davis. We're going to have an awesome show for you all tonight. Bobby Dizzle from the Bobby Dizzle podcast will be joining us shortly. He's wrapping up another show at the moment and will be with us in a few minutes. But we're going to kind of jump things off without him and kind of kick things off and see where things go from there. Doc, Rob, how you guys doing tonight?
There's old Bobby Dizzle.
There he is.
There he is.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I had to. That was an amazing. I squeezed in like 3 hours of podcast in 45 minutes. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Where do I find these good guests at? I'm telling you, God is looking out for this stupid podcast I do. Because I get people I don't deserve. There's no reason those people should talk to me.
Well, you don't know till you ask. I mean,
my mic static anything?
No, you sound good.
Okay.
Was it Wayne Gretzky says you missed 100% of the shots you don't take?
Yeah. You know, Stephen King had a fencing nail that long to pin his rejection letters up. He would try to fail 100 times a day.
Well, that's all you can do is just try to be a little better than you were yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Oh, indeed, sir.
Word up. What's up, Doc? How's it going? Hadn't met you yet, I don't think.
No, man. Nice to meet you too, man.
I know I met Robbie and DA.
Yep.
How you doing tonight, man?
Oh, we're good. I just refilled my coffee, used the restroom, and I'm ready to rock.
You're ready to go for another 3 hours, huh?
Yeah. I don't know about 3 hours, Jack.
An actual 3 hours this time.
Let's go get something more out of the cabinet for 3 hours. Ordering coffee.
There
Well,
you go.
Them little white crosses.
And say some amphetamines, man. Man, White Cross, man, you just put it in a Wayback Machine. I remember that from a long time ago.
What's them toothpicks and the toothpicks and bull haulers put in their mouth that horse medicine on it?
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it.
Think of it.
Yeah, it's when horses get down, they give it to them like smelling salts, and they put them toothpicks in it and chew on it. They drive all night.
There you go. Man, tell us a little bit about your show for those of folks that are in the audience tonight that don't know who you are and.
Oh, we are live. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're good, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, my show is the Bobby Dizzle podcast right now. BobbyDizzle.com. You'll always be able to find it on BobbyDizzle.com. However, I'm changing the name in a couple of weeks, and it may be a different look to it, but it'll always be there. But my show is a collection of stories that somehow are mostly paranormal now, mostly because paranormal guys are the only ones that'll talk to me. But it started out, I grew up out next to an old store, a bunch of old men. I'd walk down there before I'd go fishing and stuff for the day during the summer and talk to them for hours. Started out just trying to recapture that, but it's mostly just people telling me stories, investigations, experts. I have people like D.A. Roberts and Robbie Rains on. And
weirdos. Those
somehow validates it.
That's what I was going to say earlier, DA, when he said, how does he get all these good people, good guests? I was going to say, well, it balances out because he had me on.
Yeah, maybe.
Balances it out with
tit for tat. My favorite thing is Bigfoot, hands down. But here lately, if I can get a good paranormal team on, I'll take it over anything because those guys have evidence. That's my favorite part about paranormal guys. They come with evidence and they come strong with it. But yeah, I'm just a bunch of stories, fun stories. I try to be the podcast for people when they go work out or cut the grass to listen to.
There you go. We was telling everybody that Yeah, we always tell everybody that we like ours to be just like a conversation between old boys sitting around a campfire.
Mm-hmm. The cabin.
Yeah, probably in the
That's
cabin.
Same format.
Yeah, and that's where I got my format from, was how we do this here. Was, you know, I wasn't gonna say had the same saying there, but you know, we did always said wanted to feel like we're sitting around a campfire, and I thought, okay, well, I'll take that next step further and say, you know, after you go around a campfire, you go and sit in at the.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't finish. I read that. That was just
read between the lines, Ken.
That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
We gotta get Doc a little Travelocity nomad now.
Well, he's in rare form tonight, that's for sure.
He's feeling his oats.
Oh my goodness.
So how long you been doing this, Bob?
I have been plugging away at it since 2019. I've been doing it to the capacity to which you know since October of last year, with actual planning and strategy, as I should say. Before I was like, hey, you did something that time. You want to be on a podcast or something? Like, I had my friends from back home. We talk about the stuff we did back on the square, back in Scottsboro, Alabama. And I met a World War II guy. That was pretty cool. But it didn't start popping off until I started getting all the paranormal guys. That's when I think I started enjoying it, like actually enjoying it. And so I started putting my heart into it, for lack of a better term. I think that's where the direction to go, and I'm slowly figuring out how to make people come to the show.
Well, you know, that's a recipe everybody works on, and you're constantly fine tuning it. There's no way you can always be everybody's cup of tea. You just can't do it.
The niching down, I always thought, well, I don't have to be a niche. I think I'll have to get any kind of traction, though. Just to dumb it down a little bit. Not. I still want to talk about Bigfoot, UFO, and aliens, and then like sprinkle in science on top of it. Because I've had some paleontologists on, and I really enjoyed them.
That's really cool. Heck yeah.
I love those guys, because they would. One guy's a guide for a paleontological service out Wyoming, South Dakota, Montana, and you get to keep what you find.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's of scientific, like if you find a new skeleton of a dinosaur they don't know of, they obviously get to keep that. I asked him, I said, have you ever had any, the spoiled kid from Willy Wonka, Veruca Salt? Veruca Salt. I said, Daddy, I want a Tyrannosaurus skull, Daddy. And he goes, the closest thing he's had to that, he had a guy come out and find a 8-inch Clovis point. What I'm talking about? Old school arrowhead. One of them guys you see in a museum, top shelf, if the kids can't knock it down, and was pissed off about it because he wanted the dinosaur. I'm like, dude, you just found like something to human society, something as rare as a perfectly preserved Clovis point.
No kidding.
Yeah, exactly. He was mad about it. Didn't even want to keep it.
Are you from, you said you was from Scottsboro?
Mm-hmm.
That's up there close to Fort Payne, ain't it?
It is.
Okay.
Real close.
I thought so. Yeah, that was I was stationed in Montgomery for a while.
Yeah, Fort Payne's just down the road, just over the mountain.
If you want cookies from the top of the fridge, I'll let you stand on my shoulders. Us short kings got to have each other's back. Fact, brother. That's a fact. Short people got to stick together.
I should have paid attention to these comments.
Yeah, I get pummeled mercilessly because of my diminutive stature.
That means he's short, Robbie.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I was saying that for Robbie and Ken Brock's benefit.
Ain't no bigger than a squirrel. Or little feller.
When we go to the field, one of us take turns carrying him around in a baby Bjorn.
You like the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda?
Yeah, we'll turn into
carrying him like this.
Tactical Master Blaster, man. Just make sure my Baby Bjorn's multicam. We're good to go.
The little fella uses the biggest words.
Is it one of them? You got one of those little rocking beds like the crack babies in?
Ken Doc ate a thesaurus again.
Yeah.
Zingers, you're coming quick tonight. That's hilarious.
Like me and Ken was on the phone. I said, yep, just because I'm from the South and talk slow don't mean I'm stupid.
Joel Thorne says vertically challenged.
Oh man.
Also that.
So the whole interesting concept around the show tonight is we were going to discuss Bigfoot and the possibility of it being subterranean. If you look at the missing 411, I'll throw that map up there real quick. If you look at the map of the missing 411, it's kind of self-explanatory. I mean, the map of the missing clusters from the missing 411 pretty much identically overlaps the maps of known large cave systems. We've had so many stories where Bigfoot has been described as being near water and a lot of times near caves. It's really not a huge leap of logic to think they may be subterranean, which would make it very difficult for us to find them. And if they go deep, that would also explain why we're not finding bodies, because if they're smart enough to bury their dead, they're going to bury them where we don't get to them.
Yeah, and just like that was that 26-year-old female geologist that I think it was up in Kentucky in a cave system up there. Y'all remember reading that? I think Cam talked about it on his show.
Yeah,
she emerged like 7 days later in another state and had been being pursued for 7 days.
Another state.
Well, she was exploring part of the Mammoth Cave system.
I just heard today. I was talking to DA before you came on, Doc. The guy that's missing in Tennessee, they're starting to slowly rein in people. You know, they had like 29 different agencies up there helping out, and probably well over 200-300 people up there, and they're starting to slowly. So, yeah, he's been missing since April 22nd, I believe, was when he was overdue.
Man.
And he was an experienced hiker, right?
Yeah, he was 68 years old, but he was very experienced because he had to apply for the permit for the backcountry area that he was in Tennessee. But this is not something that he hadn't done many times. So
yeah,
and if I recall correctly, he wasn't even at that high in elevation.
No, I think Johnny looked it up last night. I think it was like 1,700 feet, something like that.
That's really not that bad.
Yeah, that's like
where was he?
In Tennessee. What's the name of that park? You remember what I said, DA?
I can't remember the name of the park.
I could look it up. Can't be far from where I'm at. It's a mountain in Tennessee.
Was it on the Appalachian Trail?
I think so. It's one of those. It's listed as a backcountry site.
Yeah.
It's off grid. You have to apply for a permit and go through a vetting process to be allowed. I mean, so he wasn't on a known trail as far as that goes. But we were talking last night on our on what's really out there, and I told Steve, I said I would just about bet a paycheck on the fact that if you could manage to carry every bit of food and equipment that you need with you to go explore some of these cave systems around there, you'd find you'd solve a lot of these missing 411 cases. That's my rock solid, honest opinion on it.
Well, he's not the only one to go missing.
With.
Yeah, no kidding. No, he's not the only one to go missing. Not all that far back. Just within recent memory. I mean, Julian Sands, the actor, he went missing at a fairly low elevation on a known trail in California, and after a month and a half, they gave up searching for him.
Yeah, and he's
the same thing, completely vanished.
Yeah,
here it is. I found it.
I know.
Karen says it was Great Smoky Mountain National Park.
Oh, I figured it was Smokies. I wondered where out there, though.
Yeah, I don't think it was in. That's not what the area that he was in is. It might have
Bryson
been in
City.
That's it, Bryson City.
Yeah,
that's where
I know what that is.
Out there by Townsend, where they got them pancakes.
Yeah,
but no, that
bouncing
around Bryson City left and right.
One of those dog teams is from South Carolina, and I've actually worked with them in the past. Top-notch dog team. They actually found his campsite, and they tracked from his campsite, and these dogs couldn't even find a trace of him.
When dogs lose somebody, that's big.
Yeah. And not that they were refusing to track, like in other situations like we've talked about. They just couldn't find anything. And for a dog like that not be able to find something,
right?
That to me is very telling.
Yeah.
You know, if you're alive and you're walking, you're leaving scent behind.
Yeah.
The only way he could have, you know, his trail would have ended is if he somehow went up a tree or something carried him off into the air. He
That's
had
over
to
there on
not
the
been
North
touching the
Carolina
ground
side.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and most of these teams, if there's a team up on the same tracking the same trail that he was walking, there's going to be a team lower mirroring what that team's going, just to make sure he didn't, fall off. They're going to be walking the same path, and nothing has shown up. Helicopters, drones with thermal, something.
Yeah,
It's just
he's
mind blowing.
He's going like a fart in the wind, as I always say.
Mm-hmm. You think he'll be another David Pilates subject?
Yeah, I think he's headed that direction. It's already ticked off a bunch of those boxes. If you look at
especially the
criteria.
Miss Naomi says if something swooped down and carried me off, there'd be a 30 or 40 feet of urine trail.
It's like when you see a puppy hunkered down, you yank it up.
Yeah, no kidding. Sharon Lane says, I think there are smaller caves around the LBL. Yeah, there are caves all over LBL from what I've been told.
But
the county where I'm from in Alabama, I said the county where I'm from in Alabama has got the most caves per county in the world.
It's a lot of caves.
Insane. Yeah.
Missouri's a cave state. I mean, we got caves all over the place.
They could go anywhere. Like you never know.
Question last night, and he didn't know for sure without looking up. Couldn't look it up. Are there a lot of caves in that area? We're talking about with this guy up in Bryson City.
Well,
I would imagine so.
I'll bring that map back up. Josh Dalton says, Robbie, what was left versus taken from the campsite?
There was nothing that they left that Steve could find, that they gave a list of anything that was missing or
look at that that cave system that runs up the Appalachians, man.
Anything.
It's right there on that bottom North Carolina side. So yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah, you are riddled with caves there. That's part of the Mammoth Cave Network.
Dang.
Well, there we go.
Bless you, Doc.
Nothing that Steve he could find whether they released a list saying.
Thank you.
The only thing he could find that they released that was kind of sort of weird to us, and I almost think it was kind of like one of them CYA things that they released. They said he might be suffering from early onset of dementia. I think that was a CYA thing.
I think it is too. Because I don't
think I don't think it factored in any way, shape, fashion, or form, because it's not like, it wasn't like his campsite was disorganized or anything like that. And he got the permits and everything was fine, but they just kind of throw that in on the off end or the back end of it. I think that was just when they pull out, he had early onset of dementia. He must have just wandered off, and
if he had that, he wouldn't have been out hiking by himself. His family wouldn't have let him go out hiking by himself. Tamara 0142 says, do a lot of the cave systems get explored? Not as much as you would think they do, because exploring a cave system is not like exploring the Nile or exploring the Amazon. Out in places like that, you can have helicopters or airplanes parachute in, drop your supplies. In cave systems, you've got to pack your supplies in. You'll go in basically a day's travel, establish a base camp. Then you've got to make multiple trips to outfit the base camp, and then you can branch out from there. But you've got to have somebody resupplying that base camp while you go farther and farther out from that base camp. So traveling underground, exploring underground is far more difficult than traveling above ground. It's much more difficult to map it. It's harder to go for any extended period of time with what you're carrying with you, and you have the added problem of running into areas where there might be a lot of bat guano you could get overcome with methane.
And you could have a hairline crawl space go for 10 miles and open up into a cavern the size of Texas. You just don't know. You don't know. It could go down 40, 50. How far is the crust? It could be 100 miles.
I mean, it is miles thick.
Yeah. We just know about the top part that the fun little people can find just by crawling around. God knows what's
Right.
under it. I mean, remember the movie The Core?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I can't help but think that that's a little bit. I mean, think how big a cavern on the scale of the Earth, a cavern that's as big as a city.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be 1,000 of those, and there's not even mean anything.
Think of Jules Verne's writings. Think of Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Oh yeah,
Why?
That's a good book.
But how do you come up with something like that during that time period without having some kind of? I mean, I don't think that's so fantastical. I think there's people that have, either one there's people that have lived in those systems, or they've trekked further than we have in earlier days when things were different. Because it's just like we talked about with the Inca stones and the dinosaurs being painted on the Inca stones. Yeah. You don't paint a 4,000-year-old picture of a Tyrannosaurus Rex on a stone egg unless you've seen it.
What about the maps of Antarctica?
The pyrites map.
You don't get these big story about a big, huge subterranean ecosystem unless you've got some kind of knowledge about it. And I know that's probably chasing a little bit of the fantastical, but
I'm all about it.
There's got to be some element of truth in there somewhere.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What's the other one? The Antarctica. There's what you were saying about the T-Rex and the
Inca stones.
Holy Jesus! I was thinking of something else just now along the lines. Boneyard, Alaska, from Joe Rogan, the dude that's finding the stuff that history is like. Well, that's not in there. Well, dude, I got a pile of them right here. The 60 foot under the permafrost, finding animals that aren't supposed to exist in Alaska, and blue feathers and rocks from Western Europe in Alaska. Like, that's not supposed to be here. Well, it clearly is. That's if you haven't watched it, it's Joe Rogan episode 1918, I believe. Amazing episode about the permafrost skeletons and stuff.
This is one of the Inca stones.
Triceratops.
Yep, or Styracosaurus or some one of those.
Yeah, Styracosaurus. Yeah. Now there was a thing before that there were little molds. Little dinosaur models they found in the dirt that turned out to be fake. But I think those what you just showed were real.
Yeah.
Some guy was burying brontosaurus models in a field.
Do you see this one from Roger Davis? T-Rex paint at the bottom of Lake Havasu, at Havasu in the bottom of the Grand Canyon being hunted by men. I've never heard of that one.
I haven't either.
I've heard of the fake Egyptian thing from the Grand Canyon, but that was fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole there used to be a myth when I was younger about they find a finger next to a T-Rex, human finger,
or find a mostly intact human skeleton inside the rib cage.
Yeah. Remember that run in the? I don't know how old I am compared to y'all because I think I'm still a kid, but I'm like 40. But there was a run in the 80s and 90s where they would find these whales that were rotten, and they would think they were plesiosaurs. And everybody's like, "Oh, it's a dinosaur," and it turns out it's just a whale. I remember being so disappointed when I found out that wasn't real. Like, you tell me there's no plesiosaurs.
You find something bobbing in the ocean, the water can do a lot of weird stuff to it.
Yeah, it's just whale jaw's really long. That turned out to be what made it look like that. It was kind of rotten.
Well,
prehistoric stuff.
We've kind of come across kind of been boneheading our own particular theory when it comes to concerning wood knocks. Robbie and I and Doc and even Anthony and Steve, we've kind of thrown this idea around that we believe that not only are they making it with their mouth, they're not carrying a big Louisville slugger around to knock on trees. I think they're making it with their mouth, and we think it might be for some form of echolocation.
Oh yeah, that's Robbie. You were saying that late last week, weren't you? I mean, you were talking about that.
Yeah, you talked to me, or we got to talking about that, and I told you what our theory was, and
yeah, it's one of the better ones.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And we got to talking about the odds of finding a perfect stick that's that big around, that's perfectly long enough that you ain't got to twist off.
Yeah.
And
Or that
it's like
ain't
finding
laying there, you
firewood.
pick
You
it
can't
up and
find
it falls apart because it's dead.
Yeah. To be that thickness to make that kind of, it's not just any stick, even if you
Right.
got Bigfoot.
Well, I can make a really damn loud noise with my tongue, and I'm not a 1,000-pound gorilla.
That we know about.
I wear a really good disguise.
DA and the Hendersons over here.
That's right.
Canadian silver coin had a tiny Bigfoot on it. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think there was one of those like you could buy them on sale, like the Denver Mint kind of ones, where you can buy collectible coins. Yeah, I think that was the case. I remember seeing something about it.
I remember one had a foot on it. I probably just about me thinking of my buddy Glenn Jackson that makes Bigfoot coins.
Yeah, I've got one. It's a Canadian coin. It's got a bat on it. It was one of their little silver commemorative coins.
Yeah, one of the coins that the quarters that we put out has a bat on it.
That's right.
I'm still upset. I'm still upset that the Alabama coins got Helen Keller. We couldn't put Bear Bryant or anybody else on there.
Shannon Tafoya says, I noticed they would knock how many people exit a vehicle. It's entirely possible. We don't really fully understand what wood knocks are significant of. But I think if they were underground, it would make an excellent form of echolocation. We've talked about this, a number of times. There are blind people who have taught themselves to ride bicycles by using primitive echolocation, just by clicking their tongue. There are lots of animals in nature that use echolocation. Dolphins, whales, bats use echolocation. There are a lot of animals in the animal kingdom that do use at least some type of echolocation. So it's not unheard of that if these things are subterranean, that they would use it too.
And it's like we say every time we talk about something like this, DA, look at nature to back up any of the claims that we have. I mean, everything that we speculate on, there's multiple cases in nature that back it up of other creatures doing it.
Right.
I mean, look at ravens and crows. Yeah, I mean, look at ravens and crows. How they call to each other to signal where they are. I mean, wouldn't it stand to reason that Bigfoot would do the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, why not?
Speaking of ravens, I think that there's probably likely some sort of relationship between ravens and Bigfoot creatures. Ravens are extremely intelligent birds. We know for a fact they develop working relationships with wolves. Not only will they remove ticks from the wolves, but they'll also let wolves know when there's prey in the area, and they can pick up the scraps when the wolves are done. They have a very weird symbiotic relationship with wolves, and I've seen lots of videos from Australia where ravens are doing the same thing with like wallabies and kangaroos in the outback, basically grooming them for ticks, and they get a meal from the animal, but at the same time they're also providing their own service. So ravens are extremely intelligent. It's not above the realm of possibility that they might have some sort of similar relationship with Bigfoot.
I've heard from different witnesses I've had on my show that the old guys that live in the woods that have the squatches in their yard, that Bigfoots will have relationships with birds and coyotes.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, I live in town, and we're not exactly Grizzly Adams in my household, but I've shown this before, but I'll get it out again. We started having colored rocks show up on the front porch, and I've got a pretty good collection of them. But I was wondering where the hell they were coming from. And I kept asking, hey, anybody know where these rocks are coming from? And finally, my youngest son's like, I think I know where they're coming from. He'd been taking bread out in the mornings and feeding a group of ravens. And he'd been giving them bread for weeks. And I guess they liked it and started bringing them shiny rocks.
Well, there's a reason that ravens and crows are featured so heavily in Norse mythology and Native American mythology. I mean, they didn't just pick it just because, well, that looks good. Let's just talk about that one. So, I mean,
There was one story where a raven was bringing people coins they found on the street in exchange for bread.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was like making his rent.
That's awesome. I'd be feeding them all the time.
That's what I was about to tell you. I'm like, hey man, not for nothing. Put a quarter
No
out there
kidding.
next to the bread. Say we need these.
Make sure they
Like
understand they get a much bigger piece if they bring the
Yeah.
the paper type.
Maybe see if they can bring you some 22 ammo or something.
No kidding.
Non-scratched all lottery tickets. Just see what you can get.
Well, I think ravens can be taught to speak like parrots too, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most corvid species can speak.
They do a speak whenever you get them. You remember Ace Ventura Part 2? Whenever he goes,
Yeah.
hello. They can. That's how they
Tiki.
sound. Have pleasure, Tiki. North American Raven, ready to these parts. Yeah, that's I had a bird person on, or Wild Trees did, my other co-host, and they were talking about the. Did you ever see? That's exactly what they said. Did you ever see Ace Ventura Part 2? Tiki.
Tiki. I remember that.
Pleasure, Tiki. Kept finding it, and it was the warden from Shawshank was the guy that played the Tiki handler. Little fun fact.
I like that actor. I can't remember Bob Gunson. Bob Gunson, I think is his name.
He's being obtuse.
We start coupling these missing 411 cases around cave systems, and we know for a fact that a lot of the missing 411 cases very easily could be cryptid related. It starts really painting a pretty big picture that not only is it possible that they're going into these caves, but going into these caves and using them not only for dwellings but for traveling. That it's highly likely that they're doing that. And if we're even halfway right on the echolocation thing, then that would certainly give them the ability to go a very long way without the need of fire or long distance supplies.
It could be why the wood knock pisses them off so bad too.
Yeah,
it just like irritate, like when you make that sound to a puppy and it starts howling. Oh,
yeah. I mean, and we've had people ask us if we do wood knocks or tree knocks or anything. We're like, nah, I don't know what I'm saying or what message I'm conveying.
I could either be ringing the dinner bell or asking him out.
Yeah. Which one of those would be worse?
I'm going to go with the second one.
Neither one of them's good.
Yeah, neither one of them's good, but I've got more of a plan for a hungry one than an amorous one.
I think I'd rather have Bigfoot teeth marks than the other. You have to explain that to your buddies in the cabin. What happened? Oh, he's real.
Got dragged in the bushes and.
It's not. I think he's.
Speaking of Ace Ventura too.
Yeah. I'm thinking I shouldn't call him Big Feet anymore after that experience. Ace Ventura 2. What a classic.
It is a great movie.
That's how I learned the words of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Didn't even know it was a thing until that movie came out. Like, what the hell is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Oh,
I'll tell you have y'all ever heard of TK and Mike? They're from South Alabama, from Auburn.
WW.
Yeah,
Waterfowl Widowmaker.
Check it out. I got the.
Oh man, I
got the entire collection.
TK died. And I met Mike at the Bass Pro or the Bass Buckmasters Expo in Montgomery right after TK died.
He died. Anyway, they got the elk hunting tape. They shot a Bigfoot.
Those guys were hilarious, man.
I got the whole collection.
That was awesome.
But if you can get a hold of this one, he shoots at Bigfoot. He goes, "Woo! I got me a Bigfoot!" And they open up a Bigfoot guide service.
That's funny.
You got him up there high on a bluebird day like today. Oh, WW, bring him on down.
WW.
Was it a 4-gauge 10-inch Magnum wood duck waterfowl Widowmaker?
Yeah, the waterfowl Widowmaker. It was like a 16-foot piece of PVC pipe.
Yeah, it was 2 PVC pipes with a. Hang on, I got it over here.
Oh man, you bring it back. I was talking about that the other
There
day. Yeah.
WW, bring him on down.
Love you.
$5 dog. You better come here now. That one's got the best. That one's got the best theme song, I think, because it's got the talks about him shitting his pants and his waders. he wouldn't let him in the duck line because he crapped his pants.
You bringing back some memories. We would watch all those when we were deployed. Take those videos with us and watch them on deployment.
I was an FFA officer, and we had the whole collection in the FFA cabinet in college or in school.
Oh my goodness, man!
We would wear them things out.
Yeah,
we'd stay up the night before deer season, watch the entire series. No wonder we didn't kill anything. All sleepy as shit. Knew the quotes to them and everything, but split toe. Split toe's dead.
Oh, forgot all about that one. Holy crap.
He made about three. He made catfishing, squirrel hunting, and deer foe after TK died. And they were kind of cringeworthy.
Yeah.
It was just Mike. It was just Mike and the people that played the game warden.
Just wasn't the same without them.
Yeah. It was funny, but I still bought them because I have to have TK and Mike because I think they're hilarious.
Wow, I might have to look that
now
up.
that we've hijacked the entire show.
That's par for the course. Par for the course.
That's hilarious. You said WW, just there it went.
And that's usually how it starts.
You got yourself a Canada, a spec, and a ring neck, man.
Oh man.
We had a kid about food, Doc.
Yeah.
Say again?
I said at least it wasn't about food this time.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. We derailed something fierce.
Oh yeah.
I'm okay with. That's how they're supposed to go. That's the reason podcasts exist.
That's why we have a good time.
Yep.
Now we'll get back on topic and talk about the topic for a little bit and then derail.
I don't even know what the topic is.
Topic.
What's the topic? Is this hot topic where all the hippies hang out?
Oh Lord, we're them funky jeans.
No, not gonna find too many of them around here. Just hillbillies.
Yep.
I'm in Huntsville. We got hipsters. Got to fight them off. The good thing about a hipster, no gun. It's the best part about them. You know you can kick your way through. You just can't have any carne asada or they'll swarm you.
One of the guys I used to work with at the hospital, he always referred to the man bun as a bitch biscuit. I've never forgotten that.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I coined the phrase that IPAs are the skinny jeans and man bun of the beer world.
I just can't do the IPAs.
Oh my goodness.
No,
gracious.
thank you.
Eventually, it can't. Eventually, it has to not taste like gasoline.
Lord.
The more
I
special.
want to drink cat pee. I wouldn't have to pay for it.
Yeah. Seems like the more specialized and churched up the beer is, the worse the hangover is too. Basically, just drinking fermented cake icing at that point.
Yeah, just like somebody dumped a bunch of perfume in a natty light or something.
Oh,
So that real thick beer that everybody likes. Somebody compared, like, if you said you like bread, and I'm going to say Bud Light because that's the example everybody knows, that real light beer. If that's like a piece of white Sunbeam, Ricky Bobby Sunbeam, then that IPA and stuff is like eating cake. So you like bread and saying cake is your favorite bread. Like, you're gonna die. Like Guinness, you could wade through Guinness. Get stuck.
I love Guinness. That's my favorite.
You
Stand
walk
the spoon up in it.
across the phone on top of a Guinness.
Yeah, I can't do it. Of course, I don't hardly drink anymore.
Me either.
Just I hate having to. If I drink at home, I go to sleep after 2. And if I drink anywhere else, I got to worry about getting home, and it costs like $60 now to get home, Uber or anything. So it's not worth it.
You know, there's an easier way to get home, and it won't cost you as much. Just make sure the bar you drink at is next to a Domino's pizza. You just wander in, order a pizza for delivery, and have the guy drop you off.
Have you priced a pizza lately? It's
Still
not a lot
cheaper than
different.
Uber.
We were at Birmingham,
And you got
Alabama.
food when you get home.
Oh yeah, well that is a plus. We were in Birmingham, Alabama one night after Eric Church concert in downtown Birmingham. I don't know if you know anything about Birmingham, Alabama, but it just let out and it was dark and it was like 1 a.m. and I had one Uber and this Uber cost $100, but it was 5 minutes away. My wife said, "Do you want to wait an hour for a cheaper Uber or do you want to take that one?" I said, "We're in Birmingham at 1 a.m. We don't have an hour." I said, "It's The Walking Dead. We got to get the hell out of here." I paid that $100 proudly.
Would you at the Pepsi Center?
It was at the Protective Life.
Okay.
Where the USFLs played.
Oh yeah.
It's the BJCC and Protective Life right next to each other.
Okay.
And I'm like, I said, it is 1 a.m. in Birmingham. We don't have an hour to wait. I said, I don't have a gun. I said, I barely know jujitsu.
Well, at least it's better than where Doc was teaching this last weekend. He was down in El Paso where your Uber driver arrives in an up-armored Humvee with a door gunner.
Oh yeah, MRAP.
Yep.
That place is a shit show right now. El Paso is gone dark.
Place where you go to a club and they say, "You got any guns or knives on you?" No. All right, well,
Okay.
grab one out of the box right there.
Grab one out of Lost and Found.
Be my luck, I'd grab a high point.
Hey, if it doesn't shoot, you can always drop it on their foot.
They'd be like, "No thanks, I'll take a broken beer bottle like Pony Boy."
That's an impact weapon right there.
That sure is. And it might go off.
Maybe.
Most top heavy looking pistol I've ever seen in my life. I don't even know who designed them. Like a drunk Belgian. It's like he made AI make a picture of a Glock.
Can you answer who designed the high point there, Doc?
No, it looks like something my grandson drew.
That's what I was saying. It's like a drunk Belgian.
Doc CDC is a high point.
Qualified for it. High point 9 mil.
Did you see the high point Tesseract, Doc?
What?
On Demolition Ranch, you see the high point Tesseract? Matt got them, and they sent him 25 high points, and they he molded them in a epoxy resin to look like the Tesseract from Marvel. So there's 25 high points all stuffed around, and he started shooting them with a 50 caliber Barrett and a few other rifles, just blowing high points out of that. It was funny.
That guy's crazy.
I'm looking at it right now.
Well, when you got that kind of money, you can be crazy, and it's called being eccentric.
Speaking of those channels, did you see the episode of Kentucky Ballistics where he captured what he thinks is a Sasquatch behind his berm?
I remember you talking about that on one show. I hadn't seen.
I've got to find that video again. He's you could slow it down, but he's like standing at his berm and he's been shooting at it. So it's not like somebody's down there hiding behind a berm, because nobody in their right mind is going to be behind a berm you're shooting at. Mm-hmm. And he stops to talk to the camera, and behind him you see this black head come up over the top of the berm and then slowly go back down. And he turns around, goes right back to shooting.
He was probably like, "Dude, stop shooting.
Stop shooting at me, asshole.
Like you're picking some berries, damn it."
Might have been what's the other dog man hiding back there. They're the only ones dumb enough to or crazy enough to get back behind the berm.
Well, some of the guns he shoots.
Yeah, I'm not sure the berm would slow it down.
I mean, he shoots like regularly shoots. He's got a 700 Nitro Express. He's got a 600 Nitro Express. He's got a 460 Rigby. He's got a 4-bore. Have you ever heard of that, Doc?
Yeah, I saw that video.
Whoo, where he got shot the zombie torsos,
And he shot those torsos.
and the heads just went.
He blew them things, and yeah,
That's a big round. What do you call it? Shoulder fired artillery.
that's what it is, literally, man.
And he's got a coach gun, and he's got a 10-gauge sniper rifle.
Toolman Taylor Wilson.
He's got some at he's got some very, very big ordnance.
He's got to be a masochist because he likes shooting all that heavy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He had that 50 cal blow up on him, damn near killed him.
Yeah, shooting those slap rounds out of it.
Damn near.
That's where his shirt stick a thumb in it come from, because it blew a chunk out of his neck and it pierced his jugular. And his dad was right. His dad's his cameraman. He said, you bleeding bad out of your neck. So he wrapped his shirt around his thumb and stuck it in his neck like that, and just pretty much put himself in a sleeper hold and refused to let go of it.
Yeah, it was right down here because it had that one of those lugs had severed his internal carotid and his
carotid, not his jugular.
Yeah, and dropped down into his chest cavity and punctured his lung.
Yep, and the cap.
He's lucky he lived.
Back of it.
Yeah, so how did it not kill him? That sounds like instant death.
Oh,
he stuck his thumb in it.
Yeah.
That's literally the only thing that saved him. They even made a T-shirt that says "Stick your thumb in it."
Stick a
That's
thumb
the
in
only
it.
thing that literally saved him was he occluded his own artery with his digit.
Yep.
How would you have treated that, Doc?
That's the only thing you can do. Now I saw some stuff in one of our special operations medical journals not too long ago, and a guy had a neck injury like that, and they fed a Foley catheter in there and tied off and then blew the balloon up and then clamped it off so that balloon tamponaded the wound and compressed it in there. I was like, that's pretty freaking ingenious. They even sewed it in place.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, to get the dude out, he lived.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
If it's stupid and it works, it ain't stupid.
Yeah, it ain't stupid then. Wow. You wouldn't think if a 50 cal blew up and hit you in the neck that you'd be walking away to make a T-shirt. Wouldn't be a merch opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't think he was thinking of that at the moment.
No. His wife actually came up with that shirt. He said they were talking about it after he was on the men and everything was good and he was out of the woods, and said something about, he said, we want to make a T-shirt to commemorate this. She goes, okay, how about stick your thumb in it? And he's like, I love it.
Stick your thumb in it.
Well, they said that the doctor told him after he come out of his initial surgery, doctor told him and his wife, he said, if you hadn't put your thumb in that wound, he said, you'd have died. He said, you wouldn't have made it to the hospital.
Yeah, that's
and the hand that got fractured so bad, that's the hand that he plugged it with, because he didn't even realize how bad his hand was messed up until Doc finally got him to pull his hand out, and he said, we need to look at that hand too. He said, the bleeding's taken care of. He pulled the hand out, and like both of these fingers right here were just completely smashed. Where he recreated that too. Put a ballistics gel dummy up there. The video where he recreated it.
Yeah, it was a double charge round, wasn't it? Because I think they said
it was like way overcharged.
PSI or something like that is what that thing had. And it's only supposed to hold up to 50,000 or whatever. And it was 85,000. They estimated the pressure in that thing to be.
It's a lot of pressure.
So that sucker just it grenaded, man. And those Serbu rifles those things are freaking strong.
Wasn't that strong?
Wasn't
strong enough.
Wasn't 85,000 strong, that's for sure. Lord have mercy.
I don't mess with stuff like that. Not even a little. I stick with factory fresh.
Even when shooting black powder, I'm very cautious about not overfilling it.
Oh,
you do not want to blow one of them damn things up in your face.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, Doc. slap rounds are pretty much almost like reloads that you can just buy a bag of them, and there's no real set rhyme or reason to. Right?
A slap is like an armor penetrating round, but he had said he had some remanufactured slap rounds, I think is what it was, and it was just they think it was a double charged load, is what blew that thing up. So,
God,
it's
we got to stay away from that brand.
Saboted light armor penetrator, yeah. So. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, because that's Kentucky Ballistics. There, that's one of the first thing in there.
I'm going to step away a second. I'll be right.
Not a problem.
So we're talking about Bigfoot and caves. Now we're talking about slap rounds.
Yeah, the topic is only vaguely the guideline. More of guidelines, really.
Guidelines. That's like we run a code on somebody. Somebody's like, "Well, hey, y'all want to try this?" I'm like, well, hell not. I ain't gonna kill them. It's a guideline.
That's right.
Kind of like a speed limit.
Yeah, especially a speed limit in Texas.
Yeah, it's a guideline.
If you're doing the speed limit in Texas, people will pass you on the shoulder and flip you off.
If you're doing a speed limit in D.C. and Maryland and Virginia, the same thing will happen.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Ooh, Doyle Thorne says the manufacturer, after doing a metallurgy test, stated had to have been in excess of 180,000.
Holy crap!
I'd say she was overcharged.
God. I was listening to that as I was walking around the house just now. I'm part of that.
180,000.
That's a lot of pressure.
Good night.
That's all it takes, isn't it? Pressure and time.
That's it.
That and a big goddamn post. Okay, I was thinking I had it hit me. I don't want to shift gears too hard, but on the cave subject, like it's entirely like we already have a sample size if we think about it. Of the ocean makes things do certain things. It makes sea turtles into sea turtles. It makes any animal that has its equivalent on land. You got the sea turtle. You got. I guess you could, to a lesser effect, you got something like the manatee / dolphin is the ocean version of the cow.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's not. You got ocean snakes, ocean turtles, and so caves are kind of the same thing. You got cave crickets, and the most extreme, you got bats. They're obviously the most popular cave animal. But think about like hellbenders and the fish with no eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the craziest cave thing I can think of. So it's not entirely like what if there's like a cave monkey?
Yeah, we got no way of knowing.
And a cave monkey that evolved. Think if it took down there just like that movie Time Machine from the 40s, and you got the Morlocks that live down there, the big blue people, and they evolve in the cave as cave apes, and they can pop up like Maggie Simpson on the Simpson movie, just anywhere. It's entirely possible if they can find. I just don't know why we aren't able to find the hollows and corridors that they use so easily. Maybe they have a way in and out quicker.
I've often wondered if they're that much stronger than us if they don't just roll a boulder over behind them.
Yeah, cave crickets. See, now I want to taste a cave cricket.
Well, that's what they did.
I'll take your word for it.
That's what they did in that Mammoth Cave system, DA. Remember, they said they found all these boulders in front of passageways, and they had to use a hydraulic jack to get it out there. And then the next day they came back, and it was pushed back into place.
Yeah.
So
we might be on to something there then.
Or they just did it during the Easter play, and they rolled the boulder back. Nothing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Thought it was funny.
Northwood says the last time my ex went swimming in Florida, she was mistaken for a manatee. Boom, dooms.
A lot of people say that's
Northwood's scoring a lot tonight.
Yeah, he is.
His poor ex though.
Scoring.
That's like what, number 3? That's number 3 or 4, I think.
I think it's 3 or 4.
It's at least 3.
Northwoods
Yeah.
is usually one of the highlights of the conversation of the night. We always got to put up good ones, and and some nights he will really zing them.
He got one before we even went on the air.
Yeah, he had a good one before we even went live. So, if they are moving boulders to block passages to keep us out, obviously we're not strong enough to move the boulder to follow them. They also would have a heightened sense of smell that we don't possess, because most animals have a far stronger sense of smell. So they would know which passages reeked of methane to avoid those. And if they can pop with their tongue, like we're suggesting, and have a form of echolocation, they would know, okay, this passage dead ends, this one does not. Whereas we would just wander around for days down there.
Yeah, they could pretty much just map it out like hitting the Waze button.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be like when you I don't know when you do put new Wi-Fi service in a building, you do a thing called a heat map. You can tell what you can tell what at the top of wall is like sheetrock or brick. You can tell how far that signal is going to go past that particular kind of material.
Born to Run says, do you think it's Bigfoot or feral people in the caves? I don't know, there's why it couldn't be both.
Feral people in the Smokies.
Mm-hmm. Same thing down in Louisiana. They call them the night people. They come out of the swamps at night and have been known to carry people off and eat them. So it's not like there's no shortage of feral people. It's not one of those situations where it's either or. It could easily be both.
Oh, it could be everything. Yeah. I mean, who knows? That's not where the elementals are hiding.
Right.
The dog man. I don't know why the dog man's so angry, but this could be where he's at.
Can't eat chocolate.
Like, yeah, I'd be pissed off too. What if you gave the dog man chocolate though?
I don't know if you can carry that much chocolate on you.
Coat yourself with chocolate before you go out in the woods.
Yeah. Maybe that's the reason. Never mind. Get the show canceled.
Ken Brock coats himself in chocolate every now and then, but not for dog.
To get his chihuahua to play with him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Peanut butter. I think the peanut butter industry knows how integral they are to the Bigfoot research community.
Huh.
I wondered it. The first thing everybody does at Bigfoot hunting is get a damn jar of peanut butter.
I've never tried using peanut butter. I've heard a lot of people have, but I've never.
You're the only one.
I've never put bait out. Of course, I'm a firm believer that putting any kind of gifting out, it's a bad idea, because I've seen it go wrong with wild animals on a number of occasions.
I've heard the
Doc
food gifting. I think Doc died on us. The food gifting is what's get you the hitchhiker effect.
Warfare. Doc's getting hit with chemical warfare. You got to take your ranger out.
But I think food gifting is a bad idea. Because we've had cases here in Missouri. There were some people down near Branson who were putting food out on their deck for black bears, and the Missouri Department of Conservation got word of it, and they're like, "Hey, stop feeding these bears. They're going to get used to it, and they'll keep coming around." And they didn't listen to the Missouri Department of Conservation at all. They were gone one day and didn't put any food out, and the bears ripped the back door off their house and destroyed their house and raiding their house for food. Did like $60,000 worth of damage.
I bet. I mean, what I was saying is that people I've heard that a lot of times the gifting goes bad with these squatches is because it gets the hitchhiker effect. They'll follow you around like that.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want something like that to follow me home. Nor would I want to leave food out. I mean, I think it's just a bad idea in general. I mean, let's say, for example, I know a guy who routinely puts food out at one area where he goes. He always puts apples and stuff like that out on this one particular tree stump in his research area, and he's gotten back, rocks and little bits of shiny periphery that just show up on the tree stump in place of the food that he left. But every time he goes out there, he puts it out there. I said, what happens if you've got these things associating people with food, and you get some jackass that goes out there with no idea they're out there, and he walks past that tree stump without leaving apples and gets his ass abducted.
It's himself, David Pilates.
Yeah.
Pilated.
Gets dragged into the bushes. Where's my apple pitch?
Yeah, where's my GIF?
That's right.
I've heard that little toys and personal items are the best gift.
I wouldn't gift at all. I just wouldn't do it. I think it sets a dangerous precedent.
Oh yeah, as far as wild animals goes, definitely. That's like the first thing everybody does though when they think they got it is gift.
Well, see, and that's where you got some people who don't believe it's just an animal, and that they believe that's that form of communication. And there again, that's their right to feel that way. But I'm not going to stand down there next to the creek where I know there's a crocodile and clean a fish either.
Nope.
Same thing.
That's a fact.
Because that's an animal I really don't want associating me with food.
No.
No kidding.
Like being in Florida next to a puddle that looks like sweet tea.
Yeah.
It's like
unless
coffee.
you're really willing to throw hands with a dinosaur, stay the hell out of that water.
Didn't you post that this morning? Who posted that?
I posted it a few days ago.
I was going to say, that's the same freaking thing I'm talking about. Yeah, unless you don't want to throw hands with a dinosaur.
Well, really, not even staying out of the
Stealing your
water
material
will save you. You got to be far enough back because unfortunately, that old woman and her dog found out that staying out of the water doesn't necessarily protect you.
Yeah.
Betty White just fed them cows.
Yeah.
Louis Norigas says, always take an extra tall boy every time I went out camping. In case he ran into one.
I like the my favorite new Sasquatch thing is the spider crawl that everybody says they do.
I've never seen it. I've talked to people that have reported it, but I've never seen any evidence of the spider crawl. But I think it's probably not much of a derivation of the way gorillas walk on all fours.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before either, but I've read about it somewhere. Have you, Doc?
I don't know. I was just thinking about that. It rang a bell.
I've read about that somewhere.
I wouldn't know where.
Nah. Some
book.
Something about a lake or something somewhere with a view or something.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah. See, Bobby, it's that's par for the course. We deviate like every 30 seconds, Doc.
Please.
Bouncing around. Topics are pinging.
Come on, buddy. Come on.
Ranger, all right?
Yeah, he's just old and limping. Bless his heart. Hey, old man. Come on. He goes in here crop dusting me.
That's what dogs do.
See who he does.
Chemical warfare.
Come here, buddy.
Are these books in audio? You got your stuff in audio version?
We've got a few of them out in audio. It's kind of a process getting books into audio. We're getting more all the time, but it takes a bit. I think we've got 4 or 5 in audio now. But the funny thing is the ironic part is I can actually write one faster than they can get one out in audio. So I'm staying ahead of them.
You have to find somebody that can read them plainly.
Cam Buckner over at Dixie Cryptid does a really good job. And if
he does have a good voice.
If a certain pint-sized doc ever gets his equipment done, I'm going to have him tackle some too.
I got to be home to do it too.
Yeah, that's true. You've been busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, like a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Or a one-armed man in a paper hanging contest. I know, man.
There you go.
Are these all the things that Waylon Jennings said before a commercial break on Dukes of Hazzard?
Pretty much, yeah.
More nervous than the last chicken in the house and the preacher coming over for Sunday dinner.
Oh, mercy.
And we've got a ton of doc-isms. Doc will astound us and occasionally make us roll with laughter at some of the sayings he comes up with.
I had a dude in the class this weekend. He's like, he was sitting there. I thought he was taking notes. He's like, "Hey man, you got a booklet with these sayings in it?" I was like, "Is that what you're writing down?" He said, "Yeah, yeah." I said, "I thought you was writing down some life-saving information."
He's gonna choke to death on a Cheerio, but he's gonna be funny doing it.
Exactly. Richard Cox says, "If you narrate, how about using a British accent?" Well, what dialect you want? You want northern, North England? You want Cockney? You want proper English? What? I don't know.
I think it's got to be Cockney.
Scottish accent, but just make it understandable.
I don't know, man. Some of that Cockney's not.
It has to be trashy Cockney.
Oh man,
There we go.
I can do that.
Like on Great Expectations.
Or Brad
There
Pitt's
you go.
Irish accent from Snatch.
Oh my God, that's not even real Irish accent. I don't
But
know.
it's very dang interesting.
I don't know what accent it was, but I don't think it was Irish.
Dags. Talk about the dags.
A caravan from
About Brad Pitt's Italian from Inglourious Bastards. Gorlami. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Gorlami.
I can speak with the right proper Cockney accent, Governor. I don't know about you, but yeah.
We'll just get Leon to do the British version.
There you go. Sure, like Sean Connery, of course. You don't want me to do it in a Scottish accent because you couldn't understand a damn thing I was saying. And if I did an Irish,
remind me of my grandfather.
Yeah, if I did an Irish accent, you'd think I was asking a question every time instead of making a declarative.
That's only if you're from the Dublin area. The Dublin has that lilt at the end that always makes everything sound like a freaking question.
It's a isn't it? Isn't it?
It's like you're Yeah, that's funny. I like that. And then they 20 or 30 carpses. 20 or 30 carpses? Yeah. Carpses. Yeah. Dead people. Here no longer. They're no longer with us. They're with the Almighty.
Get rid of the gophers. If you get rid of the gophers, ain't that going to be like bad for the... Not gophers. Gophers, you idiot.
Aye, that's because he's Scottish. They kind of say gopher. Scotsmen cannot say, they can't say burglary over there. It sounds like burglary. Ask them to say,
like they're gonna gargle their own tongue.
Yeah, ask them to say burglary, and they're like, nope. Tombstone wants me to. Yeah, screw you, Ken. Tombs wants to do some Australian. All right, mate. I've got a friend that lives in Sydney. I've got another one that lives in Adelaide. They said, come on down, and we'll have a good time, mate. Try to get some dimmies. What you reckon?
Watch a couple episodes of Houseos.
That was
you forgot to say no worries.
Yeah.
No worries.
I say no worries all the time, and I'm Midwestern.
No worries.
Yeah.
I don't know where I picked it up, but I say no worries all the time.
The gun when you have a gronk.
Point.
I've been looking at Subaru Outbacks lately. Speaking of new people.
All right, next thing you're going to be doing is buying Birkenstocks.
Oh boy!
I'm trying to find something I could not get 5 miles per gallon and I can still do.
I'll say this though, man. All the folks I've known that had Subies, those things were freaking bomb proof.
I know.
Great.
I've got a Nissan Rogue. I love that thing.
I got a Toyota Tundra. They're bomb proof too, but good Lord.
You get 2 gallons to the mile.
It's miles per gallon. Gallons per mile. It gets average of 16.
I've jumped all over a Dodge Charger and watched the gas gauge go down as fast as the speedometer was climbing. I might have been in triple digits at the time.
Man,
that makes sense.
You've seen video proof of me doing that, haven't you?
Yes, I have. You made the nightly news.
You made the news. Made the blotter
too, hadn't Doc?
And the safety briefing at work the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Were you in
Is that in
pursuit
the
of somebody?
Is that in the police?
Yep. As that guy took off from and Brody and Jason took off after him, or not. Brody and Caleb took off after him, and then Chief took off, and I got behind Chief, and Chief was just getting further and further away. He finally pulls over, and he sticks his arm out the window and goes, "Go, go!" So I took off past Chief, and yeah, I might have hit triple digits trying to catch Caleb, maybe, sort of, kind of.
Pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. And you're still here to talk about it, so that's even more awesomer.
Steve,
Yep.
Steve might have been the subject of a pursuit or two, and also a safety brief or two.
Yeah, not that I've seen that.
Lots of
video.
cops in the crowd tonight.
It's all coming out.
Well, last week when we had one of the comments was from my buddy Brian Forrester, and him and I were rookies together back at Greene County, and yeah, we were the two of us working together were the subject of a number of briefs the following day. The Roberts Forrester policies exist.
Yeah, weekend safety briefs when we were in the military usually existed for something that had been done the previous weekend.
When I was working in the jail, we had one particular weekend, and things just went to hell. I mean, I was the housing supervisor for the night, actually for the entire weekend, and there was 17 uses of force that weekend, and my name was on 16 of them. And I went to leave on Monday morning, and they're like, "Hey, the captain wants to see you."
You brute.
You know, I have never had a use of force called into question. I've never had one, you know, they're like, "Hey, I think you were a little excessive here." I've never had a use of force ever called into question by a supervisor.
Weren't doing it right then.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Were you one of those jailers that they do you didn't like doing paperwork?
Oh no, me and Brian used to alternate teaching report writing. So I was very good at writing my reports, but my ducks always lined up.
I had a sergeant tell me one time, if you're not getting complained on, you ain't doing your job.
Well, I didn't say there weren't complaints, but anytime a use of force, every use of force has to be investigated. I was never flagged by a supervisor for a use of force.
Yeah, Ken. I don't know how I know that either, but you're right somehow.
Yeah, I never was in any of those types of services. I've been working for the Army for years. I've heard some safety briefs out there. I mean, I always had amendments to them after somebody did something dumb.
Pretty much the same in law enforcement.
Yeah, I can't imagine it being much different.
And they're not.
They get stuff added. I remember thinking like, "What? I wonder what caused that to be on there." That's very specific.
You know, it's kind of you sit down in the patrol room and you start typing, "Dear Chief, I hardly know where to begin. It was a dark and stormy night."
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, we had a guy that I used to work with named Matt Burleson, and he would start reports like that. When I was the supervisor, I was kicking him back constantly, like, "Oh no, we can't do this. I don't care what the weather was. I don't care if there was lightning filling the sky. Get all that crap out of there." Doyle, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Richard Cox says, speaking of cave dwellers, any stories of body/human remains found underground? Well, the one that Doc was talking about earlier, that lady, the geologist in Tennessee, claimed that once they got about 3 days in, they started finding bones, and they suspected some of them were human, but they found a lot. They found old camping equipment and backpacks and stuff.
Yeah, and it was way down too, further than any documented human had gone.
Yep, I remember.
And they've only explored like 40% of the Mammoth Caves.
Yeah,
that they know about 40%. It could be like they could only be 10%, 5%.
Yeah, Papa Bear said that he popped that stat up earlier. Said that's what the accepted stat is only 40% of that cave system has been mapped. But like you said, Bobby, that's 40% of what we know of.
Yeah, I mean that's 40% of what our ground penetrating radar has found.
Exactly. And 40% is an estimate. If they don't know how extensive those caves are, the other 60% could just be a freaking guess. Wendy Guizdala says, DA, I think it would help if you ask the good folks in the chat to go leave a comment after the show if that helps y'all out. It actually does. Yeah, if you guys would like, share, and leave a comment on the video, that really bumps us up in the YouTube algorithm. The more likes and comments we get, the more YouTube takes notice of the videos.
I just saw the crust of the earth was 25 miles deep.
Yeah, so there's potential for a hell of a lot of caves down that way.
Wow.
John Wayne Gates says with Declan, we need DA. We need to find Declan the diary.
It's being looked for.
We're here doing independent research.
Yeah, everybody's looking different stuff up.
Yeah.
Lorian Booth says, missed y'all. We'll be going to the event with Josh and everyone else in September. Well, we'll see you there. The DAX Machina crew will most likely be there. And I'm planning on being there with a crap load of books.
I got to get in this. I don't have time to read for shit. I don't know how anybody has time to read.
Shai Dorsai says, what government agency would be in charge of caves? That would be the USGS, the United States Geological Survey.
They also have a very fun website updating on the earthquakes around the world. You keep that. I keep that on a tab sometimes. It just happens randomly, like anywhere in the world. Be like Zimbabwe, 1.8. Like, damn. Bet that scared the flies.
Probably. Caused the bot flies to swarm.
Yeah. Caused the mosquito nets.
Paul Webb says, DA, heard anything new on the Amazon driver? Shockingly, not a peep. They've never released the necropsies that were done on the dogs that were allegedly involved in the attacks, and that to me that's just an admission. Because if they'd found human remains in the dogs, that was the first thing they would have done. I mean, like, see, the dogs did it. We got proof, but they don't. They don't have that proof. There's no information been left, and it's still an open case, so you can't Freedom of Information Act it.
I missed it. What happened to the Amazon driver?
There was an Amazon driver last September here in Missouri that was mauled to death outside a home here up near Kansas City, Missouri. Actually, it's closer to a little town called Lexington, but Kansas City is the name that people would recognize. But they blamed it on the dogs from the house where he was parked at. But I have it on very, very good authority that the sheriff and both the sheriff and the county coroner were stunned. They'd never seen a body tore up that bad.
Like horror movie style? Like
filleted. And it's not like these were starving dogs. It was a Mastiff and a German Shepherd. And they were being fed.
Damage. They pretty much do defensive damage.
I've owned Mastiffs. Mastiffs are some of the laziest dogs on the planet. You don't mess with them, they don't mess with you. I have seen a lot of police dogs that were German Shepherds that'll do a number on somebody, but not the condition this guy was in. I mean, I can't see the dog continue to tear somebody up after they're down.
Is it like in a wooded area or something, or is it just anything?
It was just alongside a road up near Lexington, Missouri.
Yeah, and the poor dogs are nothing but a damn scapegoat,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they killed the dogs on site, but it's never been released that the dogs actually had anything to do with it.
Yeah, it checks out.
It's kind of like that lady in North Carolina. They blamed it on dogs, and they've never released any of the autopsy findings. Or then there were the two people killed in Cook County, Tennessee, and I managed to get a copy of the autopsy reports, and they were some of the crappiest autopsies I've ever read. They were missing tons of relevant data that you would have, especially in a shall we say, an odd death where they suspected anything other than natural causes. There were tons of things that should have been there that weren't. They were probably the most sanitized autopsy reports I've ever seen.
Those are the ones that had all that stuff redacted out of it, wasn't it?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And all of the diagrams weren't even there. No autopsy photos. It was the most incomplete autopsy report I've ever seen, and I've seen hundreds of them.
Cook County. Wow, it's close.
Yeah.
That is not far. That is.
But kind of dragging us back toward the cave thing. Yeah, dragging us back toward the cave thing. Pun intended. I used to work down at Silver Dollar City as an overnight security officer, and one of the biggest caves in Missouri is Marvel Cave right there. It's one of the attractions of Silver Dollar City. They take tours through it all day. Mm-hmm. When I first started working there, me and the guy that was training me, who was my supervisor, we happened to be walking by the entrance to that cave, and I heard something, and I started over there, and he stopped me. He's like, "Yeah, don't go in there." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "We're under strict orders. We don't go in there after dark." He said that, and he said they said something about air quality, but they take tourists through there all day long. So I'm not thinking it's air quality. He said no matter what we hear in that cave at night, we are not allowed to go in.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just say stuff like that.
Right. And I was like, I wonder why. He's like, well, they say it's air quality. I'm like, well, we know that's bull crap. It's not like that cave's got a ventilation system. They don't pump air into it, and they take tours through all day long.
Yeah, it's might be like that movie Cabin in the Woods, where there's a giant troll living below it or something.
Yeah.
Be sacrificing tourists in there at night.
Right.
Sharon Lane says Marvel Cave gives off some spooky vibes. It is kind of a creepy cave. It is, when you first go into it, it is freaking massive, and they haven't explored all of it. Only part of the cave is open to the tour, and there's entire sections that people aren't allowed access in.
Well,
yeah, Shy Dorsai says, and if the air quality's bad, what's making that noise? Richard Cox says Fox Mulder would be climbing down that cave. Believe me, I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I had a light bright enough to go down there with, too. When I was on duty, I carried this. And I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a Streamlight ProTac HL5, rated at 3,500 lumens, rechargeable light. This was my searchlight, and this is one stupidly bright flashlight.
How many lumens was it? 3,500?
3,500.
Yeah.
Steve says, DA, have you taken a tour of the cave? Yeah, many times. Come through it with my boys, too.
Where are you at on hearing about the government finding Bigfoot bodies after a hunter shot them or hit by a truck? Since I'm
we hear stories about the government taking bodies. Look back at Mount St. Helens. Supposedly the government took bodies of Bigfoot out by the truckload. I'm a firm believer, and if you caught our show last week when we were talking about Teddy Roosevelt, I'm a firm believer the government's not only known about him for a long time, but has been keeping him from us. In fact, the Ozarks National Forest was founded because Teddy Roosevelt put it in place as a preserve for the Ozarks howler.
Oh, yeah. We were chatting about that last week, weren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I think Teddy Roosevelt has known about these things for at least the last 100. Well, he's passed away now, but I think he's known about them for at least 100 years of our history, probably before. I mean, he was born in, I believe it was 1858 or something like that, just before the Civil War.
Yep.
And he became active in politics in the late 1800s. So yeah, I think he's known about it since then.
He's probably one of my favorite presidents.
Mm-hmm. He's quite the man.
He was the man.
Sharon Lane says there's a huge hole in the dome where people almost fell through a long time ago. Yeah, there are pictures where inside that first primary cave entrance of Mammoth Cave. Not Mammoth Cave, of Marvel Cave down there at Silver Dollar City. There are pictures of them actually inflating a full-size hot air balloon inside there, and it not touching the ceiling or the floor. That cave is massive.
Wow. I just found the picture.
John Wayne Gates says you're just looking at a 7,000 lumen light. Yeah, if you're going to be spending time in the woods, bright is good.
That hurts my head that cave's so big. I can't think.
Oh, it is massive.
That's like a city.
Yeah, you could build some very large buildings down there and probably not touch the walls or the ceiling.
That is insane.
Got a whole ass Jeep in there.
Yeah.
Well, when you go down the stairs into the cave and then you take the complete tour, you're brought out on a mine cart. I mean, basically, you're brought up by a cable cart out of the bottom of the cave.
Wow. I wonder how far away this is.
That's just outside Branson, Missouri. It's about half an hour from me, 45 minutes at the most.
Google mapping it. I could go to the other Dolly Stampede.
There you go.
I wonder if the show is any different.
Probably the same.
This chicken tastes like shit, Dolly. 8 hours and 53 minutes. It's not too far.
Yeah. James Jenkins, my old lieutenant, he said you could fit the Statue of Liberty in the main room.
Holy shnikes.
Yeah. That first entrance room, that cave has been used for a lot of stuff over the years. It was originally mined for bat guano. And of course, they use that in everything from lipstick to gunpowder. It's been a hideout for outlaws. It was originally they wanted to make a mine out of it to mine limestone, but it didn't have limestone in it. It was the wrong kind of rock. So then they converted it and did the bat guano thing for a long time, and then it kind of played out, and now it's been an attraction as part of Silver Dollar City for God knows how long. I don't remember when Silver Dollar City opened.
Guano
balls. Collect the whole set.
Collect the whole set.
What do you want? Do you have to go outside again?
Nah.
I didn't know that, LT. He says Shepherd of the Hills was written in it. I did not know that.
Be right back. He's got to pee again.
Shepherd of the Hills. What is that?
So if that's just one cave in Missouri, that the main entrance of it is tall enough that you can have the Statue of Liberty standing in it, what does that say about caves we don't know about? Are they big enough to have Well, there's the one they found was it in Thailand or Laos, Robbie, that has its own ecosystem?
I want to say it was Thailand.
Yeah, the cave is so deep it has its own ecosystem, and it's massive inside.
Yeah, is that the one that has the trees in it?
Yeah, it's got its own jungle.
It had its own kind of bioluminescence.
Yeah,
and stuff like
So if if we know that's possible, then every bit of that's capable of sustaining life.
That just goes back to what I was saying earlier about Jules Verne. I mean, that's what he described, and they just found this now, and he wrote about that 100 years ago.
To me, that lends credence to what they refer to as the hollow earth theory. I don't think the entire earth is hollow like an egg, but I think there are these massive caverns, and they're quite possibly connected. So it's very easy to imagine there could be a civilization down there we don't even know about.
I think there almost has to be.
I would agree. Sharon Lane says they filmed the Beverly Hillbillies there a few times. At night when nobody was there, I would go up on that balcony where Granny would come out of the hotel and talk to everybody. I would just go up there and hang out. Tim Grimes, I went to high school with Tim. He says federal land acquisition has little to do with preservation of ecosystems. That's just an exceedingly convenient cover for keeping the lid on ancient, unexplainable, and anomalous phenomena. Exactly. I started reading a really good book, and I'll show it. I've showed it before, but if you want a book that'll take you down the rabbit hole, get a copy of this book. Let me see if I can adjust it. It's called The Suppressed History of America, The Murder of Meriwether Lewis and the Mysterious Discoveries of the Lewis and Clark Expedition. It's by Paul Schrag and Xavier Hayes. Damn good book. The Suppressed History of America. I'm on my second read through, and I'm finding stuff I didn't know that I didn't catch the first time. Like, for example, there was a tribe of Native Americans here in the Midwest, and I'd have to go back and find what they were called. It's going to drive me crazy, but they were part of the Mississippian cultures. They're part of the Native Americans here in the central part of the United States. And guess what language they spoke?
Old Norse.
No, the derivative of Celtic.
I was going to say Chinese.
No,
Mandarin.
a derivation of Celtic, of Ogham.
Look at this point that Shai brings up a little bit. And I didn't think of that, but 1867 or 68 is when he wrote 20,000. Think of the technology level that he wrote into that book.
That didn't exist. Allegedly,
Did
it didn't
not
exist.
Yeah, that's one. But
Yeah, he was a pioneer of his craft.
how do you come up with stuff like that if you have
3 words: Tartarian mud flood.
Doyle Thorne says Admiral Byrd flew his plane in an opening in the North Pole. Actually, that was in the South Pole. Supposedly, there's been an opening reported near the North Pole as well, but Admiral Byrd supposedly flew into the one over the South Pole. Jim Lindell says, when I was in Vietnam, we dropped a daisy cutter down a hole of a big place where there was thousands of people living from Cambodia. Wow.
They're not living anymore, are they, Jim?
Probably not.
Look what you did.
Overpressure's a mofo, that's for sure.
No kid. David By says, I wonder if they still tell you if bats come out to duck and let the guy behind you worry about them. Yeah, that's kind of the staple joke for Marvel Cave. They tell that on pretty much every tour. Roxanne Delgado says, I remember when Silver Dollar City was free and it was the front part, but you paid for parking. Now you pay for parking and admission. Robert D says Lewis and Clark had several Bigfoot stories in them. Yes, they did. There are still parts of Lewis and Clark's journal that are classified, that have been completely removed from publicly accessed.
Yeah, you were talking about that on Saturday Night Show, DA.
Yes, we were. There are entire sections of Lewis and Clark's journal that are redacted that public can't get access to.
See, it's so long ago. What could possibly be in it?
Well, Sharon Lane says, I want to read that. Why was Lewis murdered? Because he wanted to tell the truth about what the Smithsonian's whole purpose was. The Smithsonian's purpose was not to preserve heritage. The Smithsonian's purpose was to prevent certain knowledge from getting out by suppressing it. Knowledge of advanced civilizations that were here before ours. Because if they could prove that there were civilizations that had technology and architecture and developed civilizations, manifest destiny goes out the window. They completely suppressed knowledge of advanced civilizations found here in the United States before European settlers got here, simply because that would completely destroy the savage natives narrative.
Yeah,
there is massive evidence of full cultures existing before we were here. In fact, just outside of St. Louis, Missouri, Cahokia, Illinois is home of the Cahokia Mounds, and at one time that was the biggest city in Missouri. Not Missouri, biggest city in the United States, and its mounds rival the size of the Great Pyramid at Cheops.
That makes sense. I don't see how there couldn't have been bigger civils. I don't know about the size, but I don't see how there couldn't have been giant cities here. It's almost like thinking we're alone in the universe to some degree. They had 40,000 years to do it.
Rich Cox says, just how deep does that cave go? Well, some of these caves go far deeper than we can imagine. They're probably miles deep. Like I said, they estimate we've explored 40% of the Mammoth Cave systems. Yet, we know the Mammoth Cave systems go from basically western Tennessee to Maine. They are connected cave tunnels that travel the entire run of the Appalachian Mountains and even farther. So we know these caves go for hundreds, if not thousands of miles. And they say we've explored 40% of them. I'm calling bull crap on that play. Mm-hmm. I think they're saying that as a very, very conservative estimate. I would bet it's probably closer to 10%, maybe even lower. Roger Davis says a tribe in Kentucky could speak Welsh.
I mean, what are they even measuring? What they can explore? I mean, how are they even measuring that?
Yeah, how do they say, well, we've explored 40%? How do they know there's only 60% remaining? It's just you've explored 40% of what you're aware of.
I mean, how do they know they're just not shining a flashlight down that one corridor? It's like we haven't explored
they
that
could
yet.
be using sonic devices to generate a pulse
Surely.
and use digital mapping. However, if these things are as smart as we say they are and they're rolling boulders over entrances, you're going to get a sonic return on that. It's not going to continue to echo. That entire tunnel passageway behind that rock is now blocked off.
Yeah, they've just discovered a percentage of what they have knowledge of.
Right.
Yep.
You know?
That's such a human way of thinking.
Yeah.
Doyle Thorne says that's why the Smithsonian dumped a barge full of giant skeletons in the ocean. Dude, don't get me started on the Smithsonian giant skeletons. This map right here are places that giant skeletons in excess of 8 feet tall have been unearthed here in the United States. Now, 1 or 2 Native Americans with giantism, I can see that. But hundreds upon thousands of skeletons that have been unearthed, all to disappear by the Smithsonian. Then you've got the giants of Lovelock Cave. These were photographed and on public display in Lovelock, Nevada, until the Smithsonian showed up and asked to study them. The museum in Lovelock still has the receipt signed by people from the Smithsonian where they turned them over to study, and the Smithsonian claims they have no record of them. There are just so many documented cases of people turning things over to the Smithsonian for study, and the Smithsonian saying, no, we don't have any record of it. It doesn't exist.
And that giant map was exactly the same map as the cave map. If you weren't
exactly, it's very
along
close.
at home.
Here's another version of the giant map, giants in U.S. states.
Well, ain't shit going on in the middle of the country, is there?
Yeah.
No wonder they call it flyover. Ain't got no giants.
Shy Dorsey says they were mapping an underground river in the northwest with a tracking element and showed up in the southwest. They did the same thing in the early 80s here in Missouri. They dropped has a specific radioactive frequency to it, a marking dye. They dropped it in the spring here in Missouri at Bennett Springs State Park. It emerged 6 months later in Alaska.
Damn.
Is that true?
That's a long.
Yes.
To say that rhetorically.
That is a long freaking journey, son.
If that don't tell you something, then
Yeah, no kidding.
Alaska.
And we still have people that just out and out refuse to believe that giants or Bigfoot could have possibly existed. Yet we're finding stuff like this all the time.
Mm-hmm. Somebody didn't put that in there with a Dremel tool. I can guarantee you that.
No.
Yeah. How old does that have to be in that kind of rock?
Limestone?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be millions.
I'm not a paleontologist, but it's going to be pretty damn old.
Well, limestone, that's a...
What?
Where is that?
I don't know where this was taken. If I remember correctly, I think this one was taken on a basalt plain in Australia.
Must have had a really hot foot.
Yeah, no kidding.
There you go.
I mean, who's to say the cave system under subterranean cave system isn't as expansive as the ocean?
Yeah, or could even go under the ocean.
Yeah,
I mean, the deepest part of the ocean that we know of is what, 4 miles deep? And you said the mantle goes what? What was it, 100 miles? 25 miles?
25 miles is the crust.
25 miles is just the upper part of the crust. That's easily below the deepest ocean.
That's honestly, man, if you think about it and put it in that perspective, that's kind of mind-blowing right there, man.
Think of 25 miles.
That is, yeah. Yeah. That
as the crow flies.
I mean,
drive for 30 minutes on a 2-lane road, and that's 25 miles.
Yeah.
Miss Lene says, true story, when Alaska has a big earthquake, our well water gets cloudy for a couple of days later.
Holy shit. I don't know where she lives at, though. Anyway, I mean, if it's not Alaska, that's still a big deal. I don't care if it's British Columbia. Where do you live, Miss Lene?
She's in central Illinois.
Jeez. Okay, that is substantial.
Yeah. So, I don't think we're really, that far-fetched in suspecting these things are subterranean. Especially since no pun intended, we're barely scratching the surface of these caves.
Oh yeah, it's definitely scratched as it.
She says Southern Illinois. Sorry, Miss Lene.
Southern. I'm not anywhere close to Chicago, you son of.
Yeah, stay the hell away from Chicago.
Yeah.
The farther, the better. Robert D says, how deep do our best drills go? 5 to 10 miles? Something like that. Deep well technology, I think, is only 5 to 10 miles.
And 25 miles is 132,000 feet.
That's some depth. We don't even know what life would be like at that kind of depth.
Deepest part of the ocean is just the height of a 747. 5 miles. 36,000.
Golly. Crazy.
Doyle Thorne says the deepest hole ever drilled was 8 miles. That was the Russian. Yeah, they said they dropped a microphone down in it and could hear screaming.
Oh shit!
What?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what
they called it the hole to hell.
Yeah, that's when they said they thought they discovered hell.
Yeah,
they dropped several thousand feet of cable down in there with a microphone on the end of it, and they were hearing things that they thought was screaming. And they kept sending it down until it eventually melted.
Hell no. Hell to the no.
Exactly.
No. I heard screaming.
Time to go. I need a young priest and an old priest.
Someone get the stick.
Time to break up Gunner's mate.
Well, Ken says, well, that's just scary making.
You think you can?
Yeah, Tim says they call it the hole to hell.
Like if they put an elevator on it, you think you could breathe that far down? Like what's down there?
Well, the hole is only, not very big. It was drilled. I don't even think it's big enough to drop a body into, but it would take God knows what kind of drilling equipment to make something big enough for us to go down in.
Yeah, I've seen that story. I just can't remember much about it. I remember hearing
at some point they couldn't drill any deeper because their drill kept melting.
So my question is, why would you want to go down there?
I don't know. Point. I'm a white dude. That's what we do.
I have a theory though.
I lost nothing down there in that hole.
I have a theory though. What they refer to as screaming, on the audio. I haven't heard the audio, but I have a theory that screaming might have been the sound of tectonic plates rubbing up against each other.
Get out of my head. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, could be tectonic plates rubbing against one another.
Right. You got that much pressure on rock down there. It's going to make noise.
Yeah, especially if it's closer to the core where it's that magma. What movie? So
liquid hot magma.
Liquid hot magma. And everything's going to start to be easier to move around. Laser.
Could be just like a super duper version of putting a seashell up to your ear.
Yeah.
Just all the echo. Or it could be hell 8 miles down.
You would think if it's hell, if hell's in the core, that's the 8 Mile Road in Detroit. Yeah, that's hell on earth right there. I wouldn't live in Detroit if they gave me that town.
Spaghetti.
Barry 7676 says my family's been in the oil drilling business. Yeah, lots of pressure down there. Meg Mill says no, it sounded human. It was very clear. I remember that. I would love to hear the recording. I need to track it down. Toom says, yeah, DA, that's what the thought was, that there was a plate, that it's the plates not screaming. Roxanne Delgado says there's a video of that out in Russia. I need to see if I can track down a copy of that video.
What if it was screaming in Russian?
That would be funny. How do you translate? Ah!
Somebody tried to kill Putin today. Didn't I see that?
Twice.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It just reminded me. Sorry. Rabbit hole time.
It took so long.
Sharks with freaking
just the ones we know about.
There you go, Doc.
Yeah.
It's my
laser beam.
Shark with freaking laser pointer. So.
He said these are sea bass.
It still works.
Miss Naomi says, I was wondering the same thing, DA. Isn't aha the same in every language? You know, I have not heard what screaming is in every language, but I do know one universal language. It seems to be that the racking of a 12 gauge pump is the universal language for get the fuck out of my yard.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what language you speak, you understand that loud and clear.
Get off my lawn.
Richard Cox says a drone attack at 0300 on Putin. Huh.
And it had some electronic warfare stuff that shot it down.
Yeah, this is on iflscience.com. Says that the entrance to hell is the deepest human-made hole on planet Earth. Cold War saw all kinds of scientific military peacocking between the U.S. and Soviet. Funny. From sending cruises around the moon.
Robbie, you're cutting out real bad.
He paid his bill.
Then he just froze up.
Yep, he froze up. Somebody throttled back his internet speed. They kinked the hose.
He knows too much. He's been compromised. Robbie's dead now. It's now Robbie and Bobby.
There we go.
I'm
Rockland
not- I'm
Delgado
not
says,
Robbie.
I have a question. Is there reports of people seeing Gugway, and how different are they from Bigfoot? Yeah, there are a lot of Gugway sighting reports, including one right down the road from me, down in Arkansas at War Eagle State Park. Gugway and Bigfoot are both, described as bipedal, large and hairy, but the Gugway have a face more like a mandrill or a baboon, have a pronounced snout. They still look simian, but not ape-like. More like a very angry mandrill. See if I still have a picture of one of those in, and it's not looking like I do.
What was
Nope,
that
I
movie
got
we
that
talked
out.
about, Robbie? Primal Rage?
Yeah,
Yep.
Primal Rage. That's the
Gug-
one. That's
Gugway?
to me. That's the perfect example of what a Gugway looks like.
Yep.
It's like a
Yeah,
big ass
we
monkey.
Dude,
We
it's
talked about
that's
Your show Sunday night.
a scary looking critter. I ain't gonna lie.
It is.
That was
I've not seen
actually a-
Primal Rage. I followed that Instagram account from the time they got funding to the time it released, and I ain't seen a second of that movie.
It's
other than
actually
You
the
haven't
clips.
seen it?
it's not a
No,
bad
other
the
than
movie.
great-
clips.
It's a great movie. The special effects are par none. I mean, just they are some of the best special effects, creature effects for Bigfoot movie I've ever seen. However, the two main characters, I was wanting them dead pretty fast. I didn't like either of them.
I've seen tons of clips and every trailer. I've never seen the movie.
The movie's really good.
Yep.
It's one of those things I got excited about it early on, and it kind of lost me.
Barry 7676 says that's what I've heard. Had several people around Southern Illinois have seen. Yeah, the Gugway seems to be along the Mississippi River Valley for some reason. There have been reports of the Gugway as far south as East Texas. Richard Cox says baboons are some of the most vicious on the planet. Very true. West Coast Dogman. Hey, Shane's in the house. What's up, man?
Hey,
Good to see you, dude.
West Coast Gugway.
West Coast Gugway. There we go.
Hey, there you go, Shane. That's an idea for a new.
Jim
Jack.
Lindell says, how about the Wendigos? Have they made it down here from Minnesota yet? Wendigo sightings in Colorado. I know that. Not far from where Doc lives.
Right here in El Paso County, up on Pikes Peak.
So yeah, they are
How'd
moving
you
south.
snowmobile, Doc?
That's right. Hide the snowmobile.
Yeah, I ain't got a snowmobile.
Well, hide your four-wheeler then.
Yeah.
You might want to hide something else then, Doc. If you ain't got a snowmobile for it to take out its aggression zone.
Yeah. Don't do any unsolicited wood knocks.
Yeah, bro.
No kidding.
Now Doc has PTSD. Damn Wendigos.
Richard Cox is Gugway with a Valley Girl accent.
Y'all ever talked to Zeus Blatt from Project Sasquatch?
No, I don't think I have.
He said he's a pretty cool guy. He said he saw a lizard man up there in Colorado.
Well, there was famous sighting of one not far from Robbie, the famous lizard man of Skateboard Swamp.
That's freaky, man.
Bishopville and Lee County.
In fact, in Skateboard where your buddy alligator hunts.
Yep, that's where they caught that 10-foot alligator in about a little over 2 foot of water.
It's terrifying. A reptile that damn big was hiding in 2 feet of water.
10 foot, 550 something pounds.
Good night.
Hiding in 2 feet of water.
And till they popped it and brought it up to the surface, didn't even know it was there.
How terrifying would that be?
You think just a little over 2 feet of water, I almost jump out and walk over to the
Roxanne Delgado.
You ever make.
Yeah, no kidding. You lean like on Crocodile Hunter. You lean down to like splash something at the edge of the water, and bang! Roxanne Delgado says, "I saw Primal Rage, scared the hell out of me. Did not realize it was a Gugway." In the movie, they refer to him as the Oma, which is another name. I think that's a Salish name for Bigfoot. But the physical description they use in the movie is more like a Gugway. The Oma, from what I have read before, is described as mostly looking like the Patterson Gimlin because it's the Pacific Northwest version. But it was the first time I'd heard of the Oma referred to look like a Gugway. But every legend's a little different, so it's entirely possible that that's what the Oma actually is.
Kind of, other than the fact of the coloring and all that stuff, it did kind of look like the Billy ape shape that they use for the apes in Congo. True.
Roxanne Delgado says, "Have there been reported attacks of Gugway?" Every encounter story you find with a Gugway is an aggressive encounter. You don't hear peaceful encounters like you sometimes in Bigfoot stories you'll hear like a logger, a Bigfoot found him pinned under a tree and rescued him, or a child's brought home by a Bigfoot. But you don't hear that with Gugway. But I think the reason we don't hear the majority of Gugway attack stories is because we don't tend to survive them.
That's right. Like was that Nantahala Valley or whatever? Is that
Nantahala?
Nantahala?
No, the Nahani Valley.
Nahani, yeah, Nahani. That was the headless valley. Wasn't
the headless valley. There's another headless valley down in southern Arizona too.
Well,
down in the Superstition Mountains.
You really could call Moss Mountain and that one in Louisiana the head, because a lot of people got their heads pulled off in both of those too.
And to me, that sounds very much like a Gugway attack because the name Gugway means face eater.
Where was that, Robbie?
Moss Mountain, the one we did the show. I can't remember if you were on that one or not.
Mm-mm.
The one we did with Naoma, and then the other one was in Louisiana, DA, or Florida. Okeechobee Swamp.
Yes, Florida, yeah. Or Atchafalaya, because there's a Atchafalaya in Louisiana, and then that's where the Atchafalaya, or that's where the Honey Island Swamp Monster is.
Yeah. Now this one, it was in either the Okeechobee or the Okefenokee Swamp. One of those down in Florida were 1869. DA. It was 10 years after the Moss Mountain incident. I can't. So, but
the one was in 1819, and Moss Mountain was in 1829.
That's right. Okay, and it was kind of a drought type season, so they kind of moved moving further into the swamp hunting than they normally would have. Come across some footprints. Did the two see at that time and when it took off, or was it just footprints they saw and they took off?
The first time it was just footprints that they saw.
Yeah, just saw the footprints. So they go back out and they're telling people about it. Well, all of a sudden this group of hunters comes up, and I think that's where I'm getting Louisiana, because I think the hunters were from Louisiana, and said, "Hey, take us back out there. We want to hunt this thing." Well, only one of the guys would go back with them, and they go out there and. Long story short, this thing charged them because they they were getting ready to bed down for the night, so they took all. They're going to fire their weapons.
Yeah, this was back in the days of percussion cap rifles.
Yeah. So they could put fresh loads in because they're walking through the swamp all day. And they fired them off, and after they fired them off and was reloading, this thing, and just one, if I'm not mistaken, right, DA?
Mm-hmm.
Charged in and killed all but one of the group, pretty much.
Right.
And
he stumbled out of the woods like 2 weeks later.
Good Lord.
I mean, waited till they're all out to charge. Wow.
Yep, pretty much.
That's insane.
That primal rage monster does look like the Congo gorillas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure do.
Camp destroyed, people dead, a gray gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
Love that movie.
Well, the movie Congo, Michael Crichton based the story of the killer ape on what we now know are the billy apes. There was the story of the killer apes floating around the Congo for years and years and years. And Western science was like, no, that's just local superstition that couldn't exist. Until in 1999, when National Geographic were putting out camera traps looking for something else, they came across footage of the billy ape. And now that they've documented it and they've been monitoring these things more and more, it's an aggressive species of ape. That's closest living relative is the eastern lowland chimpanzee, but they're more the size of a human. They're about 6 feet tall, and the locals call them lion hunters because these things will use tools and will gang up and hunt and kill lions. They've been known to make war on other clans of billy apes. They're extremely aggressive, and it is a new species of ape.
That is
huge. You think they would have learned their lesson when they said back in the 1930s or whatever it was, when they said the mountain gorilla didn't exist. That was just local superstition, and then they find them.
Gary Lee says, Robbie, wasn't that on the Georgia state line? Yeah, Georgia-Florida state line. Yeah, that's where that incident happened. Of course, the Moss Mountain incident is another good example of people being killed by Bigfoot. There was a whole party of people killed.
The Bondo mystery ape. Looks like a dude.
Those things are jacked, man.
Oh, yeah, and freaking straight up evil. They're tool users. They're smart. And they have been known to attack and kill lions as well as other tribes of ape.
Dude.
And you think back to I want to say it was Greystoke, the one with Christopher Lambert in it.
Mm-hmm.
That looked a lot like what the billy apes were described as. Yeah. That tribe of apes that he was living with in that movie.
Well, who was it? Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote Tarzan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the original Tarzan, his family was supposedly killed by the gorillas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was an infant and was adopted by the rest of them because.
Yep. Well, and that's how that one played out. The apes broke in and killed his parents, or I think his mother had already died in that movie, and they broke in and killed his father, and then the female ape was still carrying around his dead child, and heard Tarzan crying in the crib, looked at her dead baby and threw it down and picked him up and took him in.
Raised him.
But they looked, where those in Congo were white, these were like dark brown and black, but they all looked identical.
They've got that evil freaking look on their face. I don't have any of the pictures of the billy ape left in my uploaded images.
The Bondo ape.
Robert D's got your number tonight, Doc.
That's all right. Medics may be short, but we're pretty tall when somebody else is on their back.
That ain't wrong. Having been one of the guys carried out, I will speak highly of the medics.
Now I take it all in good. I take it all in good humor, man. I take it in stride.
Yep.
I definitely don't have a short man's complex because that's dumb.
Speaking of a possibility of these things living in cave systems, last week before you were on the show, Bobby, we were talking about a cave here in Missouri called Smittle Cave. It's a cave system here in Missouri that the Smittle family was basically stripped of their land by the Missouri Department of Conservation. Now, if you go to the Missouri Department of Conservation website today, they paint this picture like there was an endangered species of bats and the Smittles just donated their land. That's bullshit, because I know when it happened, the Smittle family fought it in court and lost their land to the state of Missouri over what they claimed was endangered brown bats. But we know for a fact that those brown bats live all over the state of Missouri. So what do you think would cause here's the view of the cave before. You got a cave entrance, and this cave is big enough you could have drove a truck in it. What do you think about the story that they were protecting bats when they do this?
The bat. What is it, King Kong?
Yeah, it's a big damn bat, I can tell you.
What do they got in there, King Kong?
Yeah, that was just supposedly to protect the bats, to keep people out of the cave.
How long has that been there? That's
probably been there since the mid-90s.
What in the world?
And you can see a dude down there for give you a good scale reference on how big that is.
20 feet tall at least.
Yeah, you can't. And if it had just been exclusively to keep people out, they could have kept people out with a chain link fence with razor wire on the top.
That's heavy duty.
Yeah,
that's like Trump's wall.
There's another view of that.
They
sank that into the rock and concreted it in.
What's the purpose of the awning thing?
I have no idea.
Like, they just have a cave that's barricaded off like that for no reason?
This is a look from inside the cave. Now, there's a couple of times a year they will let people in there. They'll take them in on guided tours. But, other than that, they don't allow people in there. And this is a massive cave. So I think it was the third largest cave in Missouri, or fifth largest.
That doesn't make any sense. Like what?
Yeah, that tells you how big inside that cave is. When you saw how big that steel grating is, this is the inside of that cave.
He's probably 100 yards away from it right there.
Yeah, they are taking no precautions about not wanting something either in or out. Now, the way that awning leans over the top, it makes me think they're trying to keep something from getting inside. And obviously,
like a coon trap.
Yeah, that's way overkill for a person. I mean, you don't need anything near that big to keep people out.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Don't know.
Yeah, and you can see on the discolored spots on that, obviously something with mud on it's touched it.
That's like, so there's no backstory at all, just that it was a bat.
They claim it was bats, that they did this for bats. That is the only story you can get out of the Missouri Department of Conservation. But it's been my experience that, you don't go into a protracted legal battle with a family that's owned that land for more than a generation, a couple of generations back, and strip them of their land for bats. If all it was bats, all they would have to come in and said, "Hey, there's a protected bats in here. You can't go in this cave. We don't want you guys going in the cave. We're going to put some chain link up so people don't go in. Please stay out of the cave." And if it was just about the bats, they could have made that kind of agreement with the family and said, as long as you don't go in that cave and disturb these bats, you can keep the land. But they didn't. They fought tooth and claw for years before they stripped them of that land.
What's it called?
It's called Smittle Cave, Smittle. Smittle Cave.
I'm googling Spittle Cave.
No, Smittle.
Getting tons of results.
Spittle Cave.
Do not Google Spittle Cave, children. That's a completely different type of topic. Cool. Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, you can find references to it on the Missouri Department of Conservation website, but it is not the right story. It's a bald-faced lie. Speaking of bald-faced lie, you guys aware of the origin of that phrase?
It had something to do with Joe Bald?
No. The origin of the phrase bald-faced lie came from like the 17 and 1800s when men without beards were considered shifty and untrustworthy.
I'm still there.
Very interesting.
I don't trust clean-shaven dudes either. Like, what the hell you been doing in your life? All those chins.
He bites his bats the size of Thunderbirds. Miss Naomi says, I think they put up something like that to keep people out because whatever's inside would be able to take a chain link fence down as soon as it realized the fence was stopping their food out, keeping their food out. You know, it's entirely possible.
I mean, like I told you, I was from a county with a bunch of caves, and I've seen the stuff they put in front of caves, and it's just for people, and it's just like you said, it's just the same as a cemetery gate almost. You know, just a big wrought iron with a padlock.
Right.
Keep an honest
All
man
you
honest.
have to do is put a 6-foot wrought iron fence with chain link on, not chain link, or even a chain link fence with concertina wire, and people will not climb it.
And there hasn't been people that anybody trying to get in there and spend the night and maybe sneak in at dusk and camp out at night.
The last time I was at Smittle Cave, we were only there for a few minutes because it's a little bit of a hike from where the house used to be. Where you park. It's a little bit of a hike through the woods to the actual cave. And I was in a cave crawling club in high school, and a bunch of us would go around to caves all over Southwest Missouri and go back in these caves. Well, this is one that we'd known about for a while. We'd wanted to get in, and we tried to get in it before when the lawsuit was going on. And we got chased out of there by the Missouri Department of Conservation. Well, once the lawsuit was settled, we thought, well, now that everything's calmed down, the family's not living there anymore. Maybe we can just, drive down the road and slip in there and get in that cave. And I don't know if somebody that lived on the road spotted us or if they were out in the area watching. But we barely made it to the cave when two Missouri Department of Conservation guys come hiking up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and no on that. going in that cave.
I mean, you think somebody curious would slip in there and hide and middle of the night climb up there and see what came out at night.
And they were never heard from again.
I would be very interested if I could get out there. If I could get out there and hide a game cam facing the entrance of that cave, I would love to. But I would want to put it someplace where it couldn't be spotted by just anybody.
What about a drone? Long
I've got one.
Fly it in.
I've got it. The thing about it is I would say that drone would only be good for line of sight in a cave, because as soon as you rounded a corner and it lost signal, that sucker's probably going down.
Trying to think of ways to get something in there. Maybe what if you took and made a stand, like, God, I'm getting tired. Took a stand like a little tripod almost, and took a drone and flew it in there and set a game camera up inside. And then got it the next day with the drone. This is a covert operation I'm describing. It's Ocean's 11.
Roxanne Delgado says, I hope you can find the family to get the real story. The last time I talked to anybody in the Smittle family was when the lawsuit was going on. Once they had their land taken, they moved out of the area, and I don't know where they wound up. Sharon Lane says Missouri Department of Conservation putting that kind of manpower there is very unusual. 443 Big Vic. That's it. Rats with cameras mounted on them. Tomb says you need cave exploration drones. They work differently. Been looking into it. would be expensive. Yeah, well, Bobby, we're already past the 2-hour mark. Usually 2 hours is about where we start wrapping things up. I know you've had a busy day. Do you need to wrap things up, bud?
Oh yeah, just in the next few minutes at least. I don't want to be the guy that pulls the plug on the whole show. Now that we're trading secret caves.
We've still got to talk about our affiliate programs and things like that. But we've got a few things to cover. But I think we've gone down the rabbit hole pretty far with the big subterranean Sasquatch idea, and I don't think we're really off the rails with it.
No,
I don't think it's as. And I like all Sasquatch hypotheses. So I don't think it's as crazy as any. I think it's probably the most sane version.
Well, if it's that crazy to think that they're in caves, why are they doing this?
That's the craziest thing I've seen doing this so far. This is,
are they trying to keep T-Rex out of the cave?
Like, that's a lot for a cave entrance.
Yeah.
I mean, damn.
Granted, it is a big cave entrance, but if a person really wanted over that doesn't look like it'd be that difficult to climb.
Yeah, well, that's not keeping a spelunker out. They got ropes and shit.
Yeah, you go in with ropes and shit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a hillbilly from North Alabama, and that wouldn't stop me a bit.
You can see up there on the right side of this cave, you can see the other entrance. That one's completely sealed.
Yeah, they got that one. How do they get into this other one? Is there like
There's supposedly a door in it that's got a padlock on it. In fact, I'll show you from the other side. If you look kind of to the left side of the grating, you see that white box on the thing?
Oh, yeah.
That's got a padlock in it, and that entire section opens, which is way bigger than you'd need to open it for a person. And, why would you put an entrance for a person that high off the ground? Why wouldn't you just make it at ground level where they could open it and go in and not have to climb? And
I'll tell you, before I make 100% final, I'd have to see it in person to see what they're. Because I've seen.
I'm planning on going up there. I'm planning on going up there again here in the very near future. Steve, who's one of our co-hosts usually here on the weekends, him and I are talking about going up there to the Smittle Cave and doing a lot of video. I want to shoot a lot of video. I want to see if I can get back there without getting chased off by the Department of Conservation.
I'm saying, as an avid 4-wheeler rider and trespasser of public land, I've seen many ways to keep stuff out, and it's never been anything that drastic.
That is some of the most intense I've ever seen to keep somebody out of a cave.
I've seen, that's incredible.
Gary Lowe says, need to call it a night, guys. Hope everyone has a good rest of the weekend. Hope to see you Saturday night. Good night, Gary. Thanks for being here, man.
Good night, Gary.
Bye-bye, Gary. Peace out, Gary Bear.
There we go. Well, let's talk a moment about our affiliate programs. If only we had somebody here from Dark Angel Medical. Would anybody know anybody from Dark Angel Medical? Doc, I think you've read about it, a little bit. You tell us a little bit about Dark Angel Medical.
I talked to him 3 or 6 times. All right. So some of you, this may be the old hat spiel, and some of you are new here. Just check out our company, Dark Angel Medical, at darkangelmedical.com. We make, in the immortal words of Hank Hill, we make med kits and med kit accessories. We also provide training. So if you're going to be out and about, life can hit you. Tragedy can strike at the speed of life. That's what we always say in class. And if you're not prepared for something, you haven't got trained, you don't have the tools, then you're not going to be able to do what needs to be done when the time chooses you. So we're firm believers in doing this. We just got word of another save today. It was a tourniquet. 2 tourniquets were applied after a shooting. It was a law enforcement save, and so that brings us up to 166 now. That's pretty cool. So
that is awesome.
We have anything from small minor boo-boo kits all the way up to full-on trauma kits, like you may see mentioned in DA's books. because that's the trauma kit that all the guys carry in their except for Wild Frontier weren't around yet. But big thing with our kits is we put good stuff in them. We choose product integrity over profit margin because it's going to be it could be you using it on somebody you love and care about or your own self. Our kits are not cheap, but neither is a funeral. So it's a cheap piece of life insurance. It's HSA, FSA eligible. So if you have HSA, FSA account, go to our site, check them out. Like I said, we have anything from small kits to big kits to mass casualty kits. We offer online training for those who can't come to a class for whatever reason. We offer in-person training, and that's on our training calendar. And we are all over the United States this year. So head over to Dark Angel Medical, and if you order, use Cryptid25. That is Cryptid25 for 25% off of your order. And if you ever use one of your kits to save a life, let us know, and we'll replace what you used absolutely 100% free of charge. And that's called our Kit for Life Guarantee.
And that's including using it on yourself.
Including using it on yourself. Yep. And that's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that.
Well, Doc, thank you much.
No, you're welcome, brother. Thank you.
Hey, my pleasure.
Oh, and we
Robbie?
are a disabled veteran small business. So
Robbie, you want to tell us a little bit about our other one?
Sure. Like Doc said, normal spiel for your older indoctrinated crowd. For those of you new fellers and fellettes in the crowd, Scallywag Tactical is another veteran-owned company. Good friend of ours owns the company. Makes some of the best knives that you will ever put in your hand. This is the Orca. DA's got the Dew Claw in his hand. I'm sure Doc's gonna bring his little guy in. His little mini Jack. He's little, but that's big. That would be the gunner's mate. Wow. And DA's got was that the Transformer?
That's the Transformer.
Goes from a fixed blade to a push dagger. These knives are just they're phenomenal. I've had knives as probably since when I took my first step. I probably had a knife in my hand, and I've never had knives that are as well made as these. Out of the box, sharpest knives I've ever had. There comes the big S word out. That I'll take S words for 500, Alex. That is a big, beautiful blade.
That's a knife. That's not a knife. This is a knife.
What in the world?
This one's called the Bounty.
Is that the Dark Saber?
Basically, yeah.
It just kept coming across the screen.
So
the handle's long enough you can use this with both hands.
God, it's called the what?
If you want to take a blade with you in the woods, I cannot recommend this enough. This thing is perfect for lopping off limbs, like if you're building a shelter, or limbs if somebody's attacking you.
I'm about to say, and limbs could be loosely defined in that.
That's right.
It's sold out.
They're getting more in.
They're getting some more in.
Damn.
And
I like that fillet.
Doc had his little brother out just a minute ago, the gunner's mate.
Yeah.
I've got one of the fillet knives, buddy. Go to the Blemish knives, and you can get these on sale. This is my new fishing knife.
I like it. I like a good fillet knife.
Oh yeah, this thing is just razor sharp too.
Handy.
They even had little neck knives. Yeah, isn't that cute?
That's a two-hander for Doc.
Read between the lines, asshole. Like a Scottish broadsword.
Full on Claymore.
Oh my gosh.
The wheels have come off.
I'm looking at these knives now.
Yeah, if you go to Scallywag, you go to the Blemish Blade section, Bob. You go to the Blemish Blades. You can find most of what they've got in stock. in the blemish section, and I bought a lot of my blades off the blemish. And the only thing that was wrong was part of the box was crushed. The blades are perfect. I've only got one blemish blade that actually has anything, even, and it's just a minor scuff mark on the blade. The blades, other than that, are perfect, and you still get the 10% off. That one that Robbie's showing you right now is called the Orca. It's on the blemish blade section for $8. You can, when you use the 10%, you can get that knife for $7.20. It's regularly a $45 knife.
Yep.
Yeah, like Sentinel, Robert Miller just said, I bought several blims and there's never a scratch on them. Can't figure out what makes them a blim. So
I can't either. I mean, the only thing I can think of is it's got to be the box.
I brought all of mine have been blims,
and so Bobby, while you're on that website, when you go to checkout, use code DARoberts10 and get yourself an extra 10% off whatever you buy.
Bobby, this one's a blemish blade. This is a blemish Jolly Roger. I don't see anything wrong with the case. And let me open the knife. Here's the knife. Not a mark on the handle.
Mm-hmm.
Not a mark on the blade.
Yeah.
I think this is a $55 knife, and I got it for like $12.
That's insane. These are like $10.
Yeah, dude. And for most of the part, if you're in the United States, it's free shipping.
Yeah, and they're sharp as
God, they're sharp as hell.
I mean, they will
cut you how many ways, Doc?
3 ways: long, deep, and continuous. Yeah, they're freaking great blades.
Yep.
I've given several of them out, and my brother and my 2 son-in-laws have, or my stepson and my son-in-law, he's my son, have all cut themselves with them.
Yeah, and Shane's right, very fast shipping.
Yeah, well, my brother Carly said he said mine opened up my pocket on accident, and I reached in my pocket and cut the crap out of my finger, and I was like, ah!
I've done that before.
Yeah. Like,
yeah. I peeled my index finger down to the bone on a knife that opened in my pocket.
No.
You know, in that situation, things could have been a lot worse than cutting your hand.
That's true.
I'd rather have the
could have got stabbed someplace considerably more sensitive.
Yeah. Ooh, mercy. And so if you're going to buy a knife, you might as well buy a med kit from us. So, there you go. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
John Wayne Gates says, I want to blim gunners. I think they do have gunners available right now.
Yeah, the Anthony got his gunners on the blim page.
Blim. And he got it for like third price. A third what it cost.
$90 is what he paid for that gunner's mate.
And it's regular like a $350 knife.
That's what I paid for mine. Mine was a blim.
So, yep. Go to the page, check them out. Go check the blemish blades out. Use code DARoberts10 at checkout. Get yourself 10% off. My partner at work is he just ordered him a bunch and used the code. We were sitting around at the police department. And he's like, "Where'd you get that knife?" Because I carried I had my copper sailor assisted folder that day, so it kind of stands out against my green pants. I pulled it out and he got looking at it. He's like, "Man, this is a cool knife. Where'd you get this?" So I started talking to him about Scallywag Tactical. He got on it, got looking at it, and I said, "While you're on there, use code DARoberts10 at checkout. Get yourself an extra 10% off." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah."
And free shipping.
He said, "Cool." So he ordered about 4 or 5 knives off of there.
But speaking of knives, if you guys are really if you're a serious knife collector or you like custom blades, take a look at Brock Blades. Ken Brock's his Brock Blades is here in the chat tonight. Ken's a good friend of the show, good friend of mine and Doc's. Just an awesome dude, and his blades are all handmade. He's a veteran of law enforcement. He makes his blades by hand, custom makes each piece to order. And they are just absolute stunning pieces of work. I mean, beautiful blades. I've got one on the way, and hopefully another one behind it fairly soon. Just absolutely amazing blades, and whereas the Scallywag blades are absolutely fantastic blades, and it's my everyday carry. I carry a Scallywag pretty much everywhere I go. But Scallywag, if I lost or broke one, I wouldn't be that upset because they are good knives, but they're mass-produced knives. Ken's knives are one of a kind. Everyone's going to be handmade. It's going to be unique. Will Grey Eagle carries an Ardennes by Ken Brock. In all my stories, Will Grey Eagle carries an Ardennes, and I've got one of those on the way. And I can't wait to get it and show it off to y'all on here. But head over to Brock Blades and check him out. He also told me, he sent me a message today. He said to mention in the ordering process on his website, which is brockblades.com, because he doesn't have a discount code set up. But if you mention that you heard about his blades through our show, he'll give you an additional 10% off.
Brock Blades.
Yeah, Ken's a squared away dude.
He is an awesome dude.
Squared away dude. He's a little bit messed up in the head, but makes some nice blades.
Robbie, you are doing the robot. I.
Max Headroom over here.
Yeah, my Max Headroom.
What'd you say, Robbie?
He's froze up.
Yep.
He going. He going.
Talk about
You're back. Go ahead.
I'm scared too.
I was just wait. I was sitting there waiting.
No, I was just talking about Sentinel's comment that he used hand or blades by hand, so that's a good match.
I use the knife hand quite extensively. Yeah, in fact, if you ever saw me in the midst of a if you ever saw me in the midst of a vehicle stop and somebody was giving me lip, if you were driving by and saw me giving the knife hand, and that would have been happening in the middle of a roadside stop. I've done that many times, giving somebody an ass chewing. Doyle Thorne says, guys, it's been a great show. Thanks, everyone. See y'all next time, hopefully. Good night. Hey, brother, be safe. We'll see you on Saturday, hopefully.
Yeah. It's about time to call in dogs and be on the fire.
It's about that time. Bobby, tell us a little bit about your channel again for those who may have just turned in. And, we'll send folks over your way. I'm going to go ahead and post your link right now. Folks, make sure you go by and like, share, and subscribe to his channel. And let's support each other because we don't see any other channel as a competition. We're all sharing ideas out here and exchanging information. And like I said, we've said it before on this, but we'll say it all the time. The only people we're in competition with is ourselves. Before we're trying to do a better show each time. We're not trying to be better than any other channel out there, and there's room for all of us. So we are 100% supporting other channels. Bobby, tell us about your channel, and I just posted the link.
Oh yeah, Bobby Dizzle podcast at bobbydizzle.com. But I'm pretty much all just paranormal lately. Lots of fun stories, witnesses, investigators, experts. I just like to. I'm trying to be the podcast everybody wants to hear while they're working out, driving down the road, cutting the grass. That's where I started listening to podcasts, and I was coming up, and I think they're really fun to make, and I'm just going to keep growing. Like I've got tons of guests coming up, including
that's awesome.
Everybody on this channel has been on there, except for Doc, and I'm sure I'll have him one of these days. But yeah, bobbydizzle.com. It's always going to be there. It's going to keep going. I've got plenty of time. I telework, so I could produce it all I want to do. All I can stand. Produce it till my fingers bleed. Some weeks.
Doc's got some good paranormal stories. He's been in a haunted house or 6.
Oh, well, let me schedule you up there. After July, I'm going to go nuts with this thing. Like I'm getting a new format. I got a 3D logo coming out.
Nice.
We have some merch. I'm going to have some merch. I'm going to rename the show The Caffeinated Cryptid with Bobby Dizzle.
Nice.
Yeah,
all about my caffeine.
Yeah, like my Facebook is called the Bobby Dizzle Podcast Network, so I envision me having like 10 or 12 shows one day once it kicks off. Yes,
I like that. I probably won't want to expand much on doing podcasts because it would any more days would be hampering my writing schedule. So unless YouTube started paying out more than the books. My bread and butter's with the book, so I gotta stick with the girl what brung me to the prom.
Yeah, I'm trying to get like a little marketing firm going where I help other small businesses grow things.
Well, if you get that off the ground, let me know because I would. Marketing sucks for authors; it really does.
Yeah, I'm trying to build websites for small businesses that mow grass and just any way I can. Trying to buy me a farm, get a farm. I'll go out there and make podcasts on the farm, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
I want to say big shout out and thanks to all the mods. You guys did an awesome job tonight. And thank you everybody who has been here tonight. Also, I want to say thanks to everybody that wished my wife a happy birthday yesterday, because I put that big Facebook post on there. She had a good day. We went out to dinner and hung around with family and had a good time. So I appreciate all of y'all taking time out of your day to wish my wife a happy birthday. It meant a lot to her. It meant a lot to me. Robbie, tell us about what's really out there.
DAX Machina Light.
It still cracks me up.
I know. That's why I love to still say it. Pretty much the same stuff we talk about here, we talk about there. Just we kind of more condensed version, I guess, is the best way to put it. Where we kind of stretch out and go down every rabbit hole we can think of. Sometimes we still go down every rabbit hole we can think of. What's really out there. We just don't go as far down them as we do here, because we use about 35 to 45 minutes. Every once in a while we'll go over an hour. We just recorded the show last night on a lot of what we talked about here tonight. It was basically about the guy in Bryson City that went missing, but we hit a lot of the same topics that we hit tonight with the subterranean stuff and the missing 411, things like that. Yeah, if you like this show, you'll probably like it. You can find us on YouTube at what'sreallyouthere.com.
Dude, thank you. Sorry, Robbie.
Yeah, that's fine. No.
Thanks,
Hey, Sentinel rocks. Anytime Sentinel sends that, you can interrupt me anytime for that.
Thank you, buddy.
Nice.
You can find us on YouTube at What's Really Out There. Facebook page is What's Really Out There. Email address is what's really out there 2022 at gmail.com. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Folks, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us again. Big shout out and thanks to the mods. I also want to say thank you to all the supporters over at the Patreon community. That's at patreon.com/DARobertsAuthor. If you're a member of the Patreon community, you get access to short stories that are not published anywhere else. You get advanced screenings of books before they're out. Get input on covers and even help decide which books come next in the series. There's a whole lot of going on over on the Patreon community. I hope you guys will check that out. Again, it's at patreon.com/DARobertsAuthor. You can help shape the future of the DA verse. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys that are part of the Patreon community, because it helps a lot. As much as I wish I was making Stephen King level money, I'm nowhere near that. In fact, if Stephen King woke up with my sales tomorrow, he'd probably hang himself from a shower curtain. But I'm trying to get there. I'm significantly better off than I was 10 years ago, but I'm nowhere near Stephen King level. I'm like Stephen King's tip money. Not even that, really. But folks, again, thank you guys for hanging out with us. I hope you guys will check out the Patreon community. Thank you guys so much for spending time with us. Make sure you check out the good folks over at Dark Angel Medical. Don't forget to use the discount code Cryptid25 for 25% off your order. Let them know we sent you, so they know where y'all from. And if you use the term in the checkout, if you use Team Odin or codename Wild Hunt in the description box, you will get the Team Odin rocker on your patch. Doc, do you have one of them handy?
I believe I might.
There it is. And don't forget, if you're in the market for a good knife, check out Brock Blades. If you're looking to have a custom knife that'll last you a lifetime, or check out Scallywag Tactical for some really amazing blades. And they've got a wide variety for all occasions, party favors for any party. So make sure you guys check them out. If you order from BrockBlades.com, make sure to mention that you heard about them from this show. And if you go to Scallywag Tactical, make sure you use discount code DARoberts10 for 10% off your entire order. Don't forget to check those blemish blades, because you can get some really good deals. Hope you guys will join us this Saturday night. We're going to have another great show for you. I'll have that show posted and shareable in the next day or so. We had an awesome time tonight. Bobby, thank you for joining us, brother. We had a good time.
It was amazing.
We went down some rabbit holes and meandered off the topic a bit, but we got there.
This will not be the last time you hear from Bobby Dizzle. Promise you that.
Well, we'd love to have you back, brother, anytime. So, you folks, again, hope you guys will check out the Bobby Dizzle podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Check out What If It's Really True, all available on Facebook, Spotify, and on iTunes and here on YouTube. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to that. Also, Dark Angel Medical and Scallywag Tactical both have YouTube channels. You can find some really awesome life-saving videos over on Dark Angel Medical's YouTube channel. You can also sign up for classes if you can't make it to one of his physical classes. And check out some of the badass videos over at Scallywag Tactical's YouTube page. There's a guy who's a former, we'll just say he was aquatic special forces and leave it at that, named Mike Don Vito, who puts the Scallywag knives through their paces. And he took a gunner's mate to a hanging hog and sliced through rib bones down all the way down to the backbone. Yeah, if you look up "badass" in the dictionary, there's a picture of Mike Don Vito next to it, grinning at you.
He's a rather intense individual.
Yes, he is a very intense individual. But if I was going to have to get into an ugly fight, he would be one dude I'd want on my side. I certainly wouldn't want to look across the road and see him on the other side. He's a bad mamma jamma, to coin a phrase. Robert Miller says, I need crayons for classes.
I can bring you some.
Yes, the snack packs. But again, folks, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Hope you'll check out all of my books over at daroberts.net. My newest release is Dark Frontiers. It's a Western featuring some familiar faces and names that I'm sure you'll recognize. But that book actually went to #1 in Western horror fiction and is still doing quite well in the charts. So thank you guys, all of you, for helping make that possible. I hope you'll check that out, as well as my other series, the Codename Wild Hunt series, the Lakeview Man series, the Apex Predator series, Man's Marauders, Ragnarok Rising. I have a bunch of series out and more coming. So hope you guys will check those out, and you can help shape the future of those over at patreon.com/DARobertsAuthor. Shameless plug. Guys, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Bobby, thank you for hanging with us, and we had a good time. We'll definitely be doing this again. And folks, remember, we are huge supporters over here at this channel of our first responders and our law enforcement and soldiers. One of the things that's near and dear to my heart is the 22 a Day Foundation. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide. So if you know a first responder or a cop or somebody that's been either currently serving in the military or has previously served in the military, they're probably in a combat role of any sort, check on them once in a while. Just let them know you're thinking about them, because you might be the one voice that keeps them off the edge. I've seen too many folded flags in my lifetime. I don't want to see any more. If you're looking to donate to charity, keep the 22 a Day Foundation and the Valhalla Project in mind. Those are my two favorites, because the money goes to veterans charities and to help end veteran suicide. So, folks, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We hope to see you guys on Saturday night. And we had a hell of a good time, and we hope to do it again. So thank you, guys. Make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe to the video, and leave a comment on the video, because it helps the YouTube algorithm. And we will see you guys on Saturday night. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Night, y'all.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.